And
So
there's some shit like Saw or Hostel, right? Those are just fucking
that's the
Passion of the Christ.
gratuitous. That's
Passion
the
of the Christ is just
gratuitous.
a snuff flick, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. And a lot of that, which I had never watched Hostel or something, but I guess this would be the extreme gratuitous, full-on version. But you have parts with maybe almost similar intensity in all kinds of other series where it wouldn't really be necessary to have that at all, in my view, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the more I learn about this sort of stuff, do you remember Redbox? It used to seem like you'd go to Redbox and the only fucking thing that they had was horror movies. And I don't particularly like horror movies. I think that they're tacky, honestly. But if you look at it as social engineering, and low grade trauma, it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense now in hindsight that they would want people
Depends on the
watching that.
horror movie, how well done. If it's just like somebody going out and slashing people, it's not so realistic. It's not so scary of a thing. It's just gory. But like if it has the element, like I'm thinking about like Martyrs. Have you guys seen this movie Martyrs or
Mm-hmm.
Hostel? We mentioned Hostel. Martyrs. Oh my God, it's like a French movie where they basically they so there's like a secret group and they wanted to know about like death and the experience of death. So what they did is they like hid people under like a basement and they were like beating them up and then traumatizing them and stuff like this so that like Martyrs. Okay, like if people haven't checked
I'm
it
not gonna
out,
watch
go.
it.
No, I'm not saying go watch it, but it's like pretty hardcore, and then it's like goes into that whole psychological aspect of like why are people so fucked up, you know? And they make movies about this, and I
There's a
think there's
world.
an element of showing what's actually happening. Like in the movie Hostel, they basically abduct people who are like travelers, and then they do this kind of like they strap them down, and people pay like $20,000, $30,000 to have this experience of torturing people. I think that shit actually goes on in this
I
world.
think it does too. And Sarah G makes a good point. Yeah, like all the Disney movies where the parents always die, right? And it's kind of hard to look at it and objectively from because we're all desensitized. So it's hard to say if the cheesy horror movies should they objectively should they be cheesy, or are they just cheesy to us at this point because we were all raised in the violent entertainment culture? There's no real way to know, but the pattern, you can see the pattern though, and the pattern of all the parents die in Disney movies. The pattern of horror movies are excessive, and I mean just they're not entertaining. They're not, I don't know. But I definitely look at it as programming. Well, that's what they call it.
Well, yeah, yeah. It's just fascinating to me is that this kind of like we go to like Six Flags and we like to ride on a roller coaster and then we like this feeling of like like woo like this kind of stuff and maybe like this kind of like horror movies give us this like feeling of like oh my gosh something dangerous, but something has to be happening though too because like obviously it makes an impression in people and it's kind of like something has to be happening spiritually though too, what exactly is hard for me to say, but without a doubt there's got to be something.
Well, I think that's what revelation of the method is really about. You hear people say, "Oh, they have to tell you what they're doing so they don't get karma." Maybe some people believe that, but I think the real thing, revelation of the method, is also the method itself. I think a lot of these, a lot of the truther sphere rabbit holes just take you straight into occultism, and it's initiation.
Yep. Yeah. Have you had any shadow people experience, Raphael? I was talking about my I used to have a lot of what do you call it, sleep paralysis actually, like it was quite normal for me. I haven't had them for a number of years now, but it used to be quite normal for me to have sleep paralysis. Have you had any experiences like that?
So myself, actually, to the extent that I can remember, no. I mean, also as a child, I've had, the weird dreams maybe most individuals have, where by now I'm wondering, could that be even due to things like cough syrup and stuff like that? And I'm more and more leaning towards that, aside from the general, trauma of society, family, and whatever may happen to you. Even if it's not, so it's always very subjective, what is bad or not. But of course, the overall pressure, let's say, of existing in this world may cause nightmares itself, especially as a child. But I do suspect that many of the things, of course, that are given to children, starting with, super high sugar candy, is not helping that. So there I've had these type regular nightmares. I had, let's say, some strange in and out spaces when I was sick or something, but not what I would consider shadow people or seeing someone. I have friends who have seen individuals, especially as children, and even I think then even someone else could see them as well. I know of other cases related with, one could say, drug abuse, where maybe some strange entities or something appear. Me, myself, I would say I've never encountered something like that. And I have to say, I also feel kind of blessed because I have done also conscious channeling for some time. And at least to my naive perspective, I never really encountered any negative entities in that sense. But maybe it's a matter of resonance. Oh, it's a smoking Pikachu. Finally. Hi.
Hey,
What do
what's
you
up,
mean by-
Caleb? How's it going?
Hey, sorry, I didn't want to keep going, Raphael. I'll catch up.
Oh, I think that's it. Yeah. So just pointing out, not myself, and even though I've dabbled in all kinds of things, but not Ouija boards, but always, of course, try to come from it from a balanced perspective. I feel kind of blessed, as far as I can understand. I never had any negative entity materializing or intruding upon me. The only thing, as I mentioned, was this one case where I witnessed, let's say, this complete dissociation, which appeared like it. That was not fun. But that, again, it seemed was triggered by trauma.
What do you mean by conscious channeling?
Conscious channeling, well, the idea, just as a technical differentiation, trance channeling would be when you're saying you're connecting to whatever. You can say archetypes, some people say angels, energy, idea. We can even, let's just say, it's all a role play and imagination in your subconscious. Although I really want to know more about where these external voices come from, and then again, how external are they really? Are they really you or not? Where's the layer? Where's the separation? I still haven't figured that out. But anyways, with conscious channeling, what you do is you connect to an idea, you interpret that. However, your conscious awareness does not slip away. So if anything, it maybe takes a back seat. But whenever I did it, I always had, if I could have censored whatever I said, could have stopped, could have switched, could have steered. And there are individuals that are channeling, which are doing it in a trance way, whereas their conscious personality and awareness is not involved in it at all and does not really have any sway over the interaction until the transmission or channeling is done.
Yes. Fuck that. So you're open. You've got balls, I suppose. Are you concerned about what you could pull in?
So that's the thing, because I did it, and now I haven't been really doing it for 2 years. Only one time last year, worked fine for the purpose. Before that, I did it quite a lot. I was consciously connecting to the ideas of different archetypes, you could say, was the best way. And then, you could attribute to them, oh, it's an angelic archetype, it's a terror archetype, or whatever. Let's just call it a subconscious archetype, so however you want to put it. I do have the impression, who knows, maybe I was doing it wrong or something, but that it really has a lot to do with resonance. So in terms of what you tune yourself to, that is kind of the layer or the levels that you will connect to. That's my basic impression. And of course, to what extent is, how does your individual belief system look like? And if that's, of course, very muddy and so on, it's probably also a bit difficult to pull through something positive, or however you want to put it. So there's very, very many factors. And I also kind of did it on the one hand to experiment with communication. So in terms of how do individuals take information differently if it comes from a channeled state, and also just to experiment with it myself in terms of what information can I reach. However, then for me, it was never about, oh, I'll find out where your keys are, or I'll tell you what your former incarnation is. We can talk about those things, but it was never about specifying it. For me, it was more about entering a certain frequency bandwidth and then relaying a certain frequency, a certain feeling. And strangely enough, because I did it for 2-3 years and quite a few times also with small groups, the main benefit, actually, I would say, aside maybe from some nice informations about how you could handle your life or just see something differently, because very often for me, it was about actually pulling the information from the individual asking. So while they were thinking, I was channeling, I was just providing a mirror or an interface for them to be more comfortable in accessing information themselves. That was my approach, at least. But the main thing actually was some kind of a transference of an emotional state. So I deliberately entered, let's say, a quite, how should I say, positive, elated state, whatever, that kind of worked naturally. And often individuals seem to pick up on that. And then it would just help them to be, maybe just to relax or something, or to be more calm, something like that. Yeah. Anyhow. But yeah, never anything negative. And also, aside maybe from one time when someone said for some reason they couldn't stay and maybe one individual one time got like a headache or something. Yeah. But that was the only thing, the only time, and the only negative feedback, if any. Yeah. So what can I say?
It's interesting.
What about you, Calic? Go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to hop in and what was I gonna say? Match the name behind the screen. Introduce myself.
Well, nice to meet you.
Yeah. So, are we talking about like entities or something? I have an experience.
Is there?
How's my mic? Is it too loud?
No, you're good. You're good to me.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I do have one. So I think when I was like 5, some really young age like that, like, I don't know if it was just from being so young, or if like maybe demonic entities have easily access to younger minds, but I used to live at an apartment, and I don't know if it was in the early morning or at night before I would go to bed, but I used to see like a little imp, like by the door frame. And it would just like, I don't know if because I was so young, but I would just stare. I would stare at it, like, like, because the door was open, um, leading into the hallway that leads to the living room. It's an apartment. And I would see like this little imp, and it would like just like be like a shadowy figure just standing there like at the door frame. And then it would just disappear really fast. And then it would like creep up again. And I would just see it, and I would like scream for my mom and stuff, and I'd run to her bedroom and all that. And I don't know how long this was going for. I would have to ask her, but it was like just this little imp that would just like peep around the door frame and then just like run away.
Have you done DMT?
Maybe once. But
I've never done it, but people talk about the the little machine elves or whatever it is. Sounds like it.
Yeah. So just to briefly differentiate, what did it look like? Because of course now I'm thinking about a Baldur's Gate Dungeons and Dragons imp. Is that what it looked like, or could you describe it?
It was like, it would be like half of like 6 inches tall, like probably like 6 by 5 or something, like some little short stature, and it would just be there. Like I'm looking at the door frame right now, but like I would just be sitting there on my bed, and like it was real, like, or something. Like, I don't know if it was like my mind. Like, I don't remember watching any Lord of the Rings. This was back, in 1993 or 1994. Like barely TV. I don't think I had any outside influences. So I was raised Christian. So this is the weird thing. It was going on, I don't know for how long, but it was going on, and my mom took me to the pastor at the church, the Christian church, and prayed over me. And after that prayer, all that stopped. I don't know. And, I was like 5 years old, maybe even like younger. So that's something interesting.
Okay.
And then after that, I've never had any fear or any like I've never seen any like spiritual things, like I've pretty lived fearless. I know there's nothing to fear but, man itself.
Did you grow up Catholic? What kind of Christian?
Christian, like just the Calvary Chapel type of Christian. Like, like Chuck Smith and Ray Bentley and all those guys. So that's kind of like my religious background. I don't even know. Like the Christians, like they don't call it a religion. Remember, like they say, oh, it's a relationship with God. And I like to hear Raphael's like, like I'm So.
Raphael, you lit up when I asked about DMT. Have you seen? And I think Notch has done it too. Have you guys seen the Machine Elves?
Let you go first, Notch, or Kalex. Maybe you've seen the
No,
Machine Elves.
I only had one breakthrough experience. In DMT terminology, you can smoke DMT, and which I have. But it's like they call it the business trip because it's like 10 15 20 minutes of like tripping, and it's like hardcore. Like it's like a hardcore trip because like businessmen, they don't have time for like 4-8 hour tripping. They got to go and do business, so they go and fucking smoke up on DMT. And and it's intense. It's like you're going from 0 to 100 in like split second. Like for me, I can hear in my ear going like this, and fucking you're like you see shit, and you hear shit. It's like strobe light sometime. But like to have a breakthrough DMT, you need to like hit multiple versions of that. And when you hit like that level already, you're like, I'm good. Like I don't need to go to like that other like breakthrough experience, because that's like another dimensional travel, which I've only done once on my first time when I was smoking crystal DMT, and I had no idea what the fuck it was. And if I had known what it was, I probably would not have done it. And I had met an entity on the other side. I talk about it in my video, but basically, like, I went through like a kaleidoscope. I was like I can remember, I can visualize the whole experience to this day. But like, I was like weightless, like tumbling through this kaleidoscope with like all kinds of fucking geometric shapes, like like merging into each other, and I was like being crushed, like as I'm falling. And I was like completely turned into a liquid mass, and then I hit ground, and then like a voice was telling me, it's like, create yourself, and I'm like I'm fucking Terminator guy, like
Create
like
yourself.
emerging out of this liquid, like like I'm like screaming, and then I come into this like cave that's like luminescent and shit. I saw a ziggurat, and there was like some fucking entity there, like holding me up and shit. It was pretty wild, man. And I was like, okay, that's enough. That's like one breakthrough experience like that was enough for me, really.
That sounded metaphorical as shit, though. Did you interpret that as a metaphor at the time, like the create yourself part and all that shit? Like it's symbolic.
No, it was a it's like a booming voice, because I was in this kind of vegetative state where I was just like, I'm kind of happy. Okay, I'm like, I'm not moving. I was like liquid, and I was just like, bleh, and then a voice was like like it was like echoing and reverberating, like create yourself. Or I don't know even what language, but it was the message. And I was like, okay, so I had to use like all my emotional energy to do something. I got to move, you know, and I just like created my body like out of the ground, like lifting myself up like a Terminator guy, like taking my hands out into the ground and like coming
Doesn't
out of
that
it,
sort
and
of seem
then
like a
like
metaphor
seeing
for life, though?
it was like it's like a birth process for me. It was like being born again. Like I'm like, you know, it was like fucking
Right.
nuts, man. What's up, Caucasian?
What up, baby?
Sasquatch?
Hello.
How you going,
I
man?
heard tell that you were killed or replaced by a robot.
Here's our very own
Yeah,
machine
yeah,
gnome,
very well.
or machine elf.
There we go.
That's the story I got. Is
I
they took you out and replaced you.
I do have like a quick experience with maybe DMT. I don't know how
There's
it's
no such
possible.
thing as a quick experience with DMT, brother.
Okay, have you heard of Hawaiian baby wood rose seeds?
No.
I think it says that they're LSD, but they're
That's LSA, I think.
yeah, the Hawaiian baby wood rose seed. I smoked it out of a bong, and then it was at nighttime, and I looked up at the sky, and I just shot up, just shot up into the into wherever up there is, and then I just came back down really quick. It was like the smallest dose ever. Yeah, but yeah, that's the closest. I've never I had the chance. I had already checked out of the whole rave scene or the whole DMT. Like we had ecstasy, and then like when I heard DMT and all that was coming around, I had already checked out.
That's where I'm at. I figure if I haven't tried it at this point in my life, I'm not gonna try it. I've retired from trying new drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, new drugs probably not good for us. That's true.
Right.
But no, I met Super Smurf one night after a whole bunch of mushrooms. And this is probably the most, assuming it was not a machine elf, that it was actually a hallucination. And I'm assuming it was a hallucination, but the darn thing was so real. So I was supposed to do a bunch of mushrooms and then go out to this music festival. But music festival got rained out like torrentially. A whole bunch of people went anyway, but I was like, nah, screw that. It's going to be raining like biblically. So I'll skip it. But everyone else went, and I ended up alone at the house on a whole bunch of mushrooms. And I decided I was going to play Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm. Good game.
It is if you're not tripping real hard. But so I couldn't really play the game, and I ended up having this conversation with this little 4-inch tall blue guy with white pants, blue leotard, like unitard, a cape on his back with an S on his chest. And he came in, he sat down, and we had us a big, long conversation about life, the universe, and everything. And he gave me some really good advice that I told him that I probably wasn't going to be taking. It was downright disturbing and left a stain on my soul for years afterwards, because I've always wondered how much of that was me, considering I was the only one there.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You're muted, bud.
Oh yeah. All right.
Motherfucker. The last time I did shrooms, I spent basically the entire trip. I was at a house party, but I went into the back room, and almost the entire trip it was me just like, dude had a potted plant, a big pot. It was like an aloe vera plant, and it was a big one. And so I was hanging out with the aloe vera plant, and because it was honestly like way cooler than anybody else at the party. And so we kind of sat back there and we'd make fun of people as they walked past the door.
People watching. I love it. I'm a Sasquatch.
I wonder what that aloe vera plant's doing these days. But Raphael, you lit up when I asked about the DMT. I want to hear what you...
So the one thing, of course, this is the, I guess the supreme Joe Rogan question. dude, you ever smoke DMT? Which I have to say by now, I almost suspect is actually no good, because too many people and too many confused people listening to that, and him randomly, oh, you like pyramids, you smoke DMT. And I'd be, from in the proper state, proper setting, proper development, proper everything, I'd be the first one to advocate for it. However, given the current shattered state of everyone's mind, the opposite is the case. Anyhow, of course, I was curious. My first DMT experience was actually with ayahuasca, which
Wow.
I don't know, people have different views. And also here, it's kind of becoming a business. It's really bad. There's so many fake shamans traveling Europe, so many fake shamans over there, abuse. People don't know what they're doing. People having all kinds of strange belief systems and sects. 100,000 issues with it also. In any case, I would say I got lucky. Also, as I figured out later, I did it with a, one could say, somewhat cultish group in certain ways, because they built their own eco village in Brazil, this and that. But I wasn't involved in that. I just found out later, because I referred a friend of mine to them just to try it, and then he went a bit further, let's say, and went to visit them and live with them. Almost married a girl there, and kind of got stuck there, but then he didn't. So he got back, and he's fine now with wife and children, so it all worked out fine. So for me, it was just a one-time experience, and may, of course, be dependent on the individuals there, and also just on your own state, what you're ready for. For me, it was a very positive experience. I would say now, it definitely does draw from whatever symbolism or something is most relevant to you, because I distinctively remember even seeing scenes from a book I recently had read. So I was reading this book about something about Shiva and this and that. And one of the very many scenes, which I'm not all gonna recount now, during that trip, was that actually I saw like a lion or a tiger with Shiva sitting on top of it, and animated in this typical LSD style, let's say, of violet, green, blue, neon type wireframe animation. And then just looking at me, and then I thought, oh my God, like it's running towards me. And then it was kind of jumping really high. And I was just like this thing, and then like jumped into me. Anyways, one of the fun things there. And without recounting all of that now, at the very end was also interesting, because I didn't puke. And only at the end we were sitting together in a circle. And then they said, okay, now, to close down the ceremony, let's all sit there and talk about the experience and hold hands. And then they're talking, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I almost can't even sit. And then they even allowed me out of the circle, which, they wouldn't want so much, but I always like breaking the circle in that sense. But it wasn't for fun. It was really because, like, I'm dead now, And then someone said, yeah, and the earth is suffering, this and that. And then finally, I was able to relieve myself, and then I felt great. So anyhow, all I can say about that is, fasting, state of mind, all of that, very important. Who you're doing it with. In this case, it was really actually a big team, like 5 or 7 individuals, only taking care of like the 20 people there, which is a good thing to do.
Policy growing up. If we were going to be doing anything new, anything psychedelic, or anything remotely dangerous, we always had this one dude that we kept around who was a straight-laced guy. We always figured he'd end up being a cop. He didn't. He ended up being a coach at a football team, but be that as it may, he was always the sober guy out. I mean, he might drink a beer, might smoke some weed, maybe, but when it come down to, are those dragons actually over there? Is that just me? That's just you, dude. Okay. All right. No, there's no dragons. I swear.
Yeah.
One odd man out, a sober guy in the batch.
Can I add something? So I'll say it like this. Back in my day, it was always just spur of the moment. There was never a choice of a environment. It was always just like, here, I have this. Take this, and then go about your day and try to function on your day with whatever you're fucking taking, dude. Like LSD, mushrooms, just whatever. No controlled environment. So those times can get wild. Those stories can get wild. I'll try to elaborate on it later once I remember more. But yeah.
So just to maybe add one more thing. So then I did that maybe two more times ayahuasca, but it wasn't nearly as effective because the environment wasn't appropriate. Then it maybe depend on so many factors. There was one case where like many people, and we actually imported, I want to say, a shaman from South America, older guy, and pretty stern energy, earthy energy, all kinds of crazy things happened there. I only stayed for the first night. I did take some, but I actually evacuated it like within an hour or something. And then I was just waiting. Then in the end, he did some chiropractic, which I was happy about, but had to wait until the end, and then he was, whatever doing with the leaves. But also it was funny because at some point, I guess one of the women had their period, or even the cook or something. This guy got completely crazy because supposedly in their thing, like, it's not supposed, it's the moon blood or something, and this and that. Later we were talking and speculating and saying, oh, maybe it's because then during that time there is like particular energy portal or strength, and maybe even it's just, how should I say, that the shaman just can't handle or doesn't want to deal with that or something, right? And all kinds of crazy things happened there. But the main thing I want to say here is that even the shaman already had super heavy, crazy Catholic programming, so technically a native, but already completely effed in the head with the, bad version of South American Christianity, whatever they have. But then the other thing I want to mention is a few times, usually in, well, maybe not controlled, but very nice environments. I experimented with the business trip DMT, and there is all kinds of very interesting experience, nothing to play around with, I would say, and all the PSA as before goes here as well. And then the one thing I would like to mention, which I would really only recommend with someone who's very experienced, but to those who already have done other things and really already, I would almost, how should I say, encourage people just to investigate this, and that is the 5-MeO DMT. I had heard about this many, many years ago, even before trying anything. And someone said, oh yeah, this is the best, this and that. And I was like, okay, no clue. Many years later, I meet a guy from, in this case, also from Mexico. Very nice guy, younger guy, but with many individuals also you can tell, and this is the most important thing for discerning your shaman, I would even say by now, it doesn't matter what they claim, where they're from, what big show they make, or this and that. Really look them in the eye, talk to them, and see if you can really see that they're stable and that they love themselves and that they're not doing this, for a show, for ego tripping or something like that. I think this is supremely important when choosing someone, or even if it's a friend. For many things, it can even be a friend with some experience, because there is no real, it doesn't matter. I can say 10 family, my shaman, 10 generations did that. I can still, touch you the wrong way when you're tripped out because I'm crazy and unstable, or whatever, or rip you off or whatever else. Anyhow, so with this guy, a small group, I was lucky because I got to be the first and then just leave. And we did this 5-MeO DMT. It also lasts very short. And they say it's basically many times more potent than regular DMT. And the interesting thing, which I can confirm because I attended a few psychedelic integration groups, or sessions rather, where people just talk about experiences, and they said something similar, which is that this, if we would say, in my view, we have like general state of consciousness, and then if you apply it in a positive way, you have like weed, you have mushrooms, LSD, DMT, and then somewhere up there is 5-MeO DMT in terms of frequency, how I would discern it. Of course, it's malleable, but something along those lines. And the interesting thing here was that it basically threw me into a state where I would say, aside from minor mind chatter, because my mind loves to be strong and controlling and comment for bullshit, there was literally nothing there. So empty void space. If I would, very overwhelming to enter there, like very overwhelming, one could say. For me, very positive. As others reported, I was laughing straight for like 15 minutes and just on the floor like this, or 5 minutes, and then soon I started talking with the shaman of whatever I thought I wanted to talk with him, but cool, because if there is any information to be gleaned in terms of spiritual reality, and it's not only a localized hallucination or something, then it very much seemed as if in the highest frequency, and this would confer with many spiritual teachings, there really is nothing but existence itself. and the feeling of unity, or one could say unconditional love. So connectedness of all things, but why? Simply because there is no more capacity for differentiation. So this is, of course, a very, in a sense, also Kabbalistic Ein Sof view. And again, here it may be that I experience it this way because that's what I had read before. Don't know. But that was pretty strong. And the main thing here, and this can be the same with ayahuasca, any DMT, even with any mushroom experience, but especially with DMT, and I'm curious, Nach, what you think about this, if there is a certain feeling that you experience. And then to me, I'm like, wow, if everyone can only experience the state in whatever way, and then just only bring 1% of that feeling, and I almost sense it like a conviction. It's like an absolute knowingness that nothing can stop you. And then on the other hand, we could say, okay, this is the God complex and it's stupid, and I'm not going to throw myself in front of the bus because of that. But it's not really about that. It's somehow different, but like it's some kind of an awareness, a feeling. And if you allow your regular life to be imbued with that to the most minute or minor extent, it kind of gives you, I don't know, infinite strength in a way or something. Can you relate, Nach, to what I'm saying? Please comment. Or anybody else.
I can relate to that. I think you're 100% true on that. It's hard to explain, but the way you explained it is very close to how it feels.
Yeah, so I just want to kind of say that I really agree with Raphael that, people should be very careful, especially these days, when there's a lot of commercialization with DMT and ceremonies, and everybody's like a baba and a shaman these days, and DMT is becoming more readily available. So people have to be very, because you're like in a very vulnerable state. So you got to know like whom you're dealing with, and what kind of environment. And there are a lot of horror stories out there, with this kind of stuff, people being taken advantage of. So I think it's important for people to be aware of that. So that's the PSA aspect of it. But on the other hand, my first DMT experience, that breakthrough DMT experience, and then I've had like the ayahuasca experience with some Russians at my hut. So it was just like,
Damn.
myself, a couple, and another lady who. So it was just like four of us here, and then we had a rule of like we cannot speak for like 6 hours or 8 hours. Like it was just the shaman, like just playing music and doing stuff, and he's giving you like little shots of this ayahuasca. So he brought garmela or harmela and some other like chemicals, and he brewed it. We brewed it at home, and then we like had like a half liter bottle of ayahuasca that we were like taking sips of throughout the night. And like my personal experience, this is just my LSD, mushrooms, ayahuasca, DMT. These are all very different experiences in their own way for me. Okay. And at least like I like to try to push myself to the limit of myself. Like, so when I did couple like sessions of ayahuasca, what I did was that we did like one session together one night as an example, and then they went down and I was at home by myself, and I told him to like leave me enough for 2 days. So I didn't sleep for 3 nights. 3 days and 3 nights I did not sleep. During the day I was like kind of meditating. At nighttime I was just like drinking ayahuasca. And then like when you're tripping like this, like you just keep going. I mean, there's like because you're tripping, so you don't feel sleepy. And then like during the daytime you're just like kind of like on a low. And I mean, it was a pretty intense experience, like I would say, like I was hearing voices and shit, like, and I wanted to do it completely alone. I wanted to know what it feels like felt like to be like completely alone in the dark, with a candlelight. After like 2-3 days of fucking no sleeping, and then you're sipping on
Going
ayahuasca,
hard.
you're like, holy shit,
3 days is about when the auditory hallucinations start, at least when it comes to doing dope.
Yeah. That's what was happening. I was like hearing like like noises like in my fucking ear, and like
You could hear
and then when I was like ready to pass out. So you gotta know yourself. You gotta know what you can handle, and you gotta know the people that you're working with. And I think there's a lot of element of luck involved, because like, obviously people can go in all kinds of different directions, read about it, the spirit molecule, and hear about the experiences that people have had in those books as well, before people just jump right into it, as people tend to do these days, But yeah, one more thing. Yeah, and I wanted to talk about like how, there is this feeling of like, wow, like it's like you're almost like in touch with something. It's difficult to really explain, but it's like a frequency of some kind where it's not really you per se, but maybe it's another version of you. I'm not sure exactly what, but man, if enough people had this experience of how empathetic, that because we are all in this together, that's the thing, like, and when people like wake up to the truth of this reality of like, God is willing to meet you halfway, kind of deal. That those are the thoughts that I was thinking, that if you move towards God, God is willing to move towards you. But if you are moving away from God, God is going to leave you alone. He's a merciful being. He's not going to force you to look at him or do something with him. So it's really up to the individual to want to take that step. That's the beauty of free will that I saw with all this. So yeah.
Last time I did, one of the last times I did LSD, I was just sitting there in my friend's apartment, but I could actually see the world, the shadows, or I could see the shadows turning. Like, you know what I mean? Like I could see time move or whatever. Like I was just watching like the shadows move, and it's like it was so weird. I was like, okay, like what my quote was. I was like, the earth, or whatever it is, it just keeps spinning, or it's just like the shadows. Yeah, you know what I mean. I'll end it on that. I'll try to think of more. Like, you know what I mean? Like I saw it in real time. Because it's we don't really focus on that, on a day-to-day basis. But since I was just sitting there on acid, I could just see like the earth turning or whatever we call it.
I only did
Yeah.
acid once, and I didn't even take it. I didn't take enough. It was too weak. It didn't really do anything except for make the lights of the strip club look funny,
Right.
which is fine. I don't know if a strip club is the right place to have your first acid trip.
Dude, it
That'd
was
be the
cool.
other question. Yeah.
One of the Yeah, right. That's probably best place to do it is anywhere but there. But it was cool. I actually had some acid tabs a long time ago. They had the pyramid with the eye in the middle. Those little squares. I was like, that was one of the coolest designs I've ever seen.
Kind of Illuminati-ish, huh?
Yeah, right.
This is actually one recurring theme, and to those, I'm not sure, maybe Kalex, maybe Nachi can speak to this. One of the recurring patterns I see, I mean, now I've also slowed down a lot, but also I've never really been, I think I've never really been too hardcore, but anyways. But there is this great quote, to fall in hell or soar angelic, you need a pinch of psychedelic. So anyways,
I like that.
which direction, is up to you and set and setting. So one recurring pattern I actually see then a lot with, I believe, especially LSD, not always, but quite oftentimes, is actually triangular patterns. So like an overlay of triangular patterns with actually the all-seeing eye inside of them. So I'm wondering to what extent even that symbol just got imported from whatever mystery plant drug cult they had. And then they said like, oh, we're going to use this as our secret symbol because, we're using all these substances, and that's one of the recurring things that emerge out of that. Or maybe it's just my subjective overlay. So much about the all-seeing eye. So you can actually see that. And the most fun, just for fun, I'm referencing this now, experience I had was one time with friends, and then I started seeing everything, looking at everything, and I saw my own face basically. And it went so far as that I went, we then ate some vegetable soup, and the parts of the soup were like parts of my beard, So that was hilarious, especially because I was aware of that general concept. So it was just super fun for me, of course, to experience that. Yeah.
Oh man, that reminded me of something. Give me a second. If anyone wants to go ahead. Shit.
Yeah, so for me, I've always kind of experimented with things. Like I said, I wasn't really involved in too much hard stuff. I was smoking pot a lot when I was in the States, and then if I can get them in Korea, I could get some hash here and there, but it's really expensive in Korea because it's a very hermetically sealed place. But I would say as far as like when I was in Nepal, I don't know if you guys heard about this like Maori honey. It's this kind of like high altitude
Oh,
honey that is produced there.
could
They call it
I
mad honey.
yeah.
Why?
It's Maori honey, cliff honey. Have you guys ever heard about?
I watched a video on it the other day, but I heard it's not even it's more of like a tranquilizer. Sounds like. I don't know. Explain more, because like
Well,
I would never do it. It sounds
so
crazy.
so these like bees at a high altitude in Nepal, they collect honey from rhododendron plants, and rhododendron plants at a low altitude are not poisonous, but once they go above like 1700 meters or something like that, they do become poisonous. So when
Wow.
they're collecting honey from the rhododendron plants, like it's supposed to be quote unquote medicinal. Okay, this honey, this mad honey, but you're gonna trip off them if you take more than a spoon. Like 1 spoon, like people use it for
Mhm.
medicine, but after that it becomes like kind of like psychedelic a little bit.
Mhm.
I took like 9, 10 spoons of that one time,
Mhm.
just to have this experience, and it was like everything was like red, and I was like
Wow.
salivating, and I puked like 20 times during the night, and like I was like chewing on tissue just because of
Mhm.
my mouth was
Mhm.
constantly salivating, and I was like forcefully like breathing because I was afraid that if I didn't consciously breathe, that I might
Yeah.
actually stop breathing.
Hey, that happens
Not
to
a
me
fun
when I
experience.
take a fat dab. I'm not even gonna lie.
Man,
Yeah,
fuck
I don't know.
dabs. I cannot
Yeah.
hang. I've done like all
And
the drugs, and dabs are the hardest.
I don't get, dude. I was never like that. So I didn't mean to derail your. We'll go back to dabs after you finish your story,
No, go ahead.
Notch.
No, I mean that's it. Like
Oh,
I just had a really intense experience. It was pretty messed up. It
okay.
went on for like 8,
Mm.
9, 10, 12 hours. I don't remember. It was
12
like until the
hours.
morning, and then
That's like an acid trip.
yeah,
Is
it was
12
pretty.
hours.
Yeah, it was a trip. It was a trip.
Oh, I've done. I had the. Oh, I was gonna say like. I guess the luck and opportunity to do peyote. Those are that's like one of the most amazing hallucinogens I've ever done. Um if anyone could get real peyote, dude. Okay, so my friend, he gave it to me. It was just like cactus juice or something, you know. I don't know what form it was in, but it was in a big gulp, and I drank this whole big gulp, and like the effect that I got from peyote was it was like, okay, so I was sitting, I was at my ex's house, and she was like sleeping, and I was just sitting there staring at uh like a tapestry pretty much over the window, and it was like, it was late into the night, but it was going into the morning, but like I was just seeing like geometric patterns, but like it's not even that I was thinking about it, but it was like like cave drawings, neon cave drawings of animals, only like animals like that you would see from like the Native Americans, and it was just neon drawings of just the animals, and like I would get just neon, like that's all it was, and like it was just, yeah, it was really weird. I don't know if I don't think it was synthetic. I thought it was real, but I was like, damn, like, is this like where those drawings come from? You know, because like I didn't have, every time I've done any type of drug or hallucinogen, I never have any outside influences really, like I didn't go into there thinking about that. I just, one night my friend was like, here, take this. And I did. And then like I ended up at the house and I just started seeing, like animals and just being drawn in neon form. And it was pretty cool. I wish it was easy to get.
Who is fighting in my chat?
Are there Chads fighting in the chat?
Yeah, my people. Sometimes my people be having squabbles.
Chads in
That's
the
what
chat.
happens.
I'll
with
work
people.
it out there.
Uh,
I've called my channel a sanctuary for disagreeable people before, and it seems to be actually a pretty accurate description.
I remember I heard someone was like, "We welcome the haters." Can that only go so far, though?
I mean, trolls are and haters, hate watchers are your most loyal viewers.
Right?
Shout out to Snafu Snaps and the whole crew.
So, anyone have anything to add to the cactus peyote?
I've never
I
tried it.
peyote once.
I think that we need to encourage, now that you've got your channel rolling, the next project I think that I need to start encouraging is your guru grift. How can we convince you to become a prophet?
I mean, aren't there already some channels going in that direction? So I feel like
you think Jack Talcott's got the market
that-
cornered? I don't think so. You could
I think-
definitely beat Talcott at his own game.
We can invent a whole new niche for Nachiketa, no?
There we go. I think that's a.
You're muted.
Oh, I was like, not me.
Notch is.
No, you're not muted.
I was talking to you.
No,
Notch.
I'm muted. But no,
Okay.
but like for me, I mean, like I already got this thing going. So I mean, like, what more do you guys want? From me? Like, how should I be even a better a guru?
I want to pimp you out. I want to pimp you out as a guru.
How much
Need
would
some
you charge per hour? What's the business angle on this? You're good with business.
I mean, it depends on the
good with
demand.
money.
Obviously, it's scalable. The more demand, the more you charge. The question is, what do you feel comfortable promising people enlightenment? I think that you can promise them that. How do you know if you're enlightened? There's no objective way to calibrate it. So,
See,
anybody
I think
watching,
here's the thing,
if you cash at me $100, my boy Notch will get you enlightened. Miss Flo just walked in. She goes, Jesus.
Maybe.
But that's the thing, like if you want to play this game even better, Flo, if you everybody knows you can't guarantee enlightenment, but so you have to.
Everybody knows
be
that.
more realistic, Yeah, everybody knows.
No, not everybody knows that. You'd be amazed how stupid some people are.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
I forget it. Like I forget that on the whole, there's a really lot of dumb people out there, and I don't mean to sound arrogant so much as condescending.
Wait, what does on the holders mean? I've never heard of that word before. Is that what you said?
On the whole?
Oh yeah, what is that?
Like in all, like all in all.
Oh, in
generally,
a whole.
Right? On the whole, yeah. It's also a sex position, but that's not how I was using it.
Okay.
Sorry,
I didn't. Give me a sec.
Flo just doesn't hang with notch type people. I think Flo should become more snobby. I've heard that idea before. I need to get rid of. Here's the thing. Trash moves more numbers. I mean, it is what it is.
Can you repeat that? What is this?
Trash moves bigger numbers, like hands down. The lowest common denominator.
Oh yeah. I should have kittens up here, you know, like fuck you guys. Like
That's
just
what's
have some
distracting
kittens,
me
some
over
puppy
here.
dogs.
Yeah, that's what's nice. Nice psychic connection you picked up on there, because that's exactly what was distracting me off screen. This cat's chasing his tail over here.
So I mean, you know, it's I guess there's a, I mean, we do want views. We don't mind having more views, but like again, it's the kind of like a balance of like having good content and content that I'm genuinely interested in as well, you know, and also like hoping that other people also are interested in this kind of conversations that we get into, you know, like today we had Jerry and Sherry and you were on there. We're talking about negative
And that shit was
entities and we
great.
kind of move on to the psychedelics and stuff
And
like
that
this.
that shit was
But
awesome.
yeah, and you know, I think it's amazing that like we can have these type of conversations. So everybody's got a niche, you know, and like I'm not here to tell anybody else that they're doing, you know, whatever they're doing is phony. Like people are going to go and gravitate towards the thing that, you know, that's going to resonate for them, you know,
Well,
even
and part
if
of
it's
it,
okay.
I was just part of
Go
it
ahead.
is pragmatic, right? I can only devote so much time to this unless it pays bills, right? And the drama content, even more than it gets clicks, people pay for that, which is interesting. But people pay for the drama content. It pays way better than more serious topics.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and you know, like you have to satisfy that hunger that people do have, you know. I mean, like the ultimately people are voting. Like if people were voting for you to have more like serious content or like, you know, MBTI type of thing or personality stuff or whatever, then you will be going in that direction a little bit more.
And actually,
I
that
imagine.
is something I'm working on a little bit behind the scenes. Is because I did a poll a little while back asking what sort of non-panel content people were most interested in, and I had 4 options. One of them was the personality type stuff, and that was the one that got the most votes. People are really interested in that, which is kind of interesting for me because I started the channel in that niche and then moved out of it, and so now I find myself surrounded by an audience that basically has zero idea what this is at all, and I forget that this is kind of a new thing to most people.
I mean, like you know, I have difficulty. Like I think 5, 6 maybe will be max for me as far as like a panelist is concerned. But like when you have like 10 people up on panel, like
Oh
it's
yeah.
very difficult for me, you know,
Sorry, can I
to hang out
interrupt?
with everybody. Go ahead.
Have you seen like Nerdrotics or the Critical Drinkers panel? They have like fucking like 50 people on there. It's just like it's like a circus. It becomes a circus. I mean
10 is pretty circusy.
Yeah, it becomes a circus, and I'm just like, yeah, just anyway. Sorry.
I've been a part of Clubhouse for a while. So in Clubhouse, you can also have like the content creator, and then the content creator can mod people, and the modders can like block people or bring people down. So you have 2 sections. The top section is where people can come up and start actually talk, so they can unmute and talk. But people at the bottom, they can only listen. That's how Clubhouse works. And I've seen rooms where it's like 500 people like watching, and then there's like 70, 100 people up on the like trying to talk with each other. It's
Mhm.
fucking crazy. Like, how do people have a conversation there? You know, at all?
Yeah, at what point when does it become that, like you see gamer streamers with, thousands of viewers in chat, and just like I guess you got to have a pretty close circle, because when you're reaching out to that many people, you know,
It's wild to me that the gaming streams have become such a phenomenon. Because don't you remember when we were kids and you had to wait for your fucking turn, and it was the worst. It was the worst when you had to pass over the control to your buddy.
couch co-op.
Or like, whatever, the old Sega games and shit. Like, you're taking like the Ninja Turtle game on Super Nintendo, right? Like when you die, you'd go through like the stages of grief briefly. You'd be like, no,
Yeah.
and then you have to hand it, and then you'd wait for the control to come back to you.
You remember the 007 GoldenEye days? You
Oh,
know,
mate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I loved that, dude.
It's still, yeah,
I-
GoldenEye. That was brilliant. And you could split the screen, couldn't you? Do you remember that? You could split the screen, or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
could have 4 players, and you'd have the 4 corners of the screen, and like trying to keep focused on your part of the screen, and then
Yeah,
try
right.
to work out where everybody else was by looking at their corners.
Screen hacking.
Winner
Screen
stays
sniping.
on. Winner stays on with Street Fighter 2. You remember doing that?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Mortal Kombat's over Street Fighter.
that's the same screen.
Yeah, but you know, there were tournaments back in the day, like when I was in university. You know, like that's when Nintendo 64 and the GoldenEye was like pretty popular back in like early 2000s, and you know, people would have big screens up, and like people from different dorms would come, and you know, they would be
The SNES.
there were winners,
Damn.
you know, and it
The
was pretty big.
SNES. Remember that? The Super Nintendo.
Mhm.
Yeah, the SNES. And the GameCube.
Nintendo 64. I think that was the platform, right?
64 is the best platform of all time. And you can't
Yeah,
prove me
anyone who talks shit on Donkey Kong 64 can get out of here.
Man, I go back.
No one played Donkey Kong 64
because there was the Commodore 64, right? Before the Nintendo 64, there was the Commodore 64, which was it was like a tape deck. You had a keyboard, a tape deck, and a monitor, and all the games and everything that you loaded up, you had to load up on a tape deck, on just like a cassette tape deck. It'd take half an hour to load a game. You had to turn the tape over to load it up. It's hilarious, man. It took ages.
Bro, I've never got to play. I've seen Commodore 64 gameplay, but I've never held one. I've never seen one, dude. Like, because I was born in '89.
Right.
When was the Commodore 64?
Early 80s. So like there was the Atari ST, the Amstrad CPC 464, the Amiga 1500. Then mind you, that was discs. The Amiga 1500. Hey, Rose.
Hello.
Rose, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you for inviting me, Nachiketa. Thank you for having me, Flow State. And yeah, I absolutely loved Super Nintendo, and I can beat Donkey Kong Country from Super Nintendo in 2 hours, especially using the cheat code in the beginning where you type on your controller BARRAL, which is an incorrect spelling of barrel, but you get the
You
point.
remember the cheat?
How did I know that you use cheat codes?
And then in my 20s, I went on Craigslist or eBay or something, and I bought the game and the console just to make sure I could still do it. And then I, gifted it away. And I think I'm due to do it again now that we've had this conversation. So maybe I should stream myself beating the Donkey Kong and like put a 2-hour limit on myself. And I also
would like to
Mario
see
Kart.
you speed run it.
I never played 64. Those were for my kids' sisters and brothers. So I stopped playing video games when 64 came out. But Flow State, you're saying that was the best, so I must have really missed out. But I'm a creature of habit, and I autistically hated the new controller with the extra thingies.
Oh, for the N64, the worst controller ever.
I like the square A, B, up, down, left, right, and then
they added the triggers or something, didn't they?
It was hard to get used to the 64 controller, but
it was still very blocky, wasn't it? They hadn't sort of done the ergonomic. Wasn't it Xbox that did the first like ergonomically designed?
Yeah, the 64 controller is sort of strange objectively. It looks like a trident or something,
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
How do we get to this conversation, man? It was
we were talking about 007 and GoldenEye, and then some other.
You know what else? Another worst
games.
controller is the PlayStation 5 controller. I
don't
know if you ever held one of those, but dude, it's and the battery dies in like an hour.
Really?
It's supposed to be like PlayStation 5.
Oh, I want to share something so cool that my stepdad did in the 90s at the time. And even right now to this day, you guys have to tell me if it is correct that this is so freaking cool, or if I just think it's cool because he's my stepdad and I love him. But he took a PlayStation controller apart, and with the wires connected to the buttons, he connected it to a piece of wood that he fashioned and made a little snowboard so that we can snowboard along with the PlayStation game. And it didn't last forever. It broke eventually and we couldn't get it to work again.
He made a board.
He made a
No way.
snowboard. Yeah, it was like the most
pretty
amazing
cool.
thing ever.
You
That's
said your
pretty
dad did that?
Stepdad.
Or yeah, so
I mean, when was that he did that? Had they already, because they've bought that design out, man. They've got a plastic version of that. So when did he do that? If it was like, it'd be so cool if it was before they'd even thought of it themselves.
You know, I think that he definitely didn't come up with the idea by himself. He must have saw it and thought, I wonder if I can do that too. But at the time, it was not easily accessible to consumers. It was probably just an early concept. It was definitely the 90s.
Right. That's awesome, man. That's like back engineering and think, right, hey, look, we're using the controller anyway, man. So that's just a relay, isn't it?
Did he reverse engineer it?
Yeah.
To a piece of 2x4?
Right. And the 2x4 was like kind of suspended in this other piece of wood so that you move back and forth. The only problem is you couldn't do anything other than just like go forward and to the side. So there's no tricks you can do. You couldn't play any of the tricks games. You could only use that controller he made to race.
Remember Snowboard Kid 64?
No, because I didn't do 64.
I can't remember what the snowboarding game. I think it wasn't until the PS2 though. It was something on the PS2, but I got bored of it very quickly, man. Driving games are cool.
So,
I want to know if Daddy's Black Princess is saying, oh my God, white people are so weird to the snowboarding controller thing, because the person who I played with it the most was my black friend. And I feel really embarrassed for referring to her as my black friend, but in this context, it's relevant.
She's probably just saying,
how do we even know Daddy's Black Princess is a real person?
Or maybe not even really black, and maybe not even really a princess.
That's what I was saying, dude. How could I trust? That's why I like, that's why I wanted to pop on here to match the name with the face, or what? The name behind the screen. The name behind the screen. You know what I mean?
The face behind the name.
Or the face behind the name. Yeah, there we go.
Joshua Jones should have been a druggie. That's the problem with Joshua.
Yeah.
One of them. Just one of them.
Who is? I don't know who that is.
You're all right. You're not. You're fine. That's cool. It's not hurting you.
I don't even know who Tim Pool is.
Tim Pool.
I don't know that guy.
I'll tell you what. I think fair play to Tim Pool. I saw him. The first time I saw him was when he was just doing it out, off his phone, out of his room, and he's built up a multi-million-dollar business. The lad's doing fucking well for himself. He's got himself a nice little compound. He
came out of nowhere too fast. I don't trust it.
He's got a 24-hour chicken coop stream. It's just live chicken coop. 24-hour stream, monetized, getting super chats to the chickens.
Really? That's brilliant.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, fair play to him.
What are we doing? Like, making such attention-intensive content?
Dude, there's a guy here.
Can I get a ring camera and just stream that and get some?
There's a guy here that's got
these sleep streams. You ever see these sleep streams? Just live footage of somebody sleeping. It's got more viewers than I do at any given time. It's like, what the fuck is going on here?
I went on a panel. I used to go on this panel with a guy that when he'd done streaming, he'd go to sleep with the camera on, or he would do sleep streams. And I thought it was perhaps because he was a recovering alcoholic, and it was like a extra sort of evidence that he's not getting up, he's not drinking, he's not getting up in the middle of the night. You know, is basically the camera's on him whenever he's not in the house. The camera's on him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people watching me when I'm fucking sleeping.
Dude, yeah.
I'll start having a wank in my dream.
I wanted to go back. I wanted to go back to the gaming talk, but since we were talking about streams, yeah, dude, I like. Well, I don't know. I've watched people on Twitch for like not even a year, and I was like, "What is this? Like, what?" Actually, there's a whole like there's tons of videos made on the fall, the decline of that website, which it's not even worth talking about. It's irrelevant. But anyways, let's talk about that video games. Or we could talk about whatever.
Okay, I mean, actually, there is the topic that I kind of do want to talk about, but let me ask Rose. Rose, I don't know if you are interested in having this conversation or not. I don't want to call you out on it, but you know, like there's a video that is out about the old world order that Stu Peter has made with Hibbler production. It's kind of going out nowadays. Joshua Jones is up here, but so we'll probably most likely change the conversation. But Rose, do you want to talk about it, or shall we keep that for another day?
I can postpone this. Let Rose have it.
Hold on, Joshua. Hold on, Joshua. 1 second. Go ahead, bro.
You know, I don't have much to say on it. I mean, because you brought it up, I do want people to know that I'm not a fan of the old world topic or the Tartarian topic. Not that history isn't a lie agreed upon and that we have no idea the timelines and what happened. And I'm so fascinated by the megaliths and everything that cannot be explained. But there are some topics that are covered where there is the repetitive sharing of things such as these buildings couldn't be built today. And in specific situations, it's incorrect. And there is a lot of evidence that I have shared with many people. I could send links to anyone who wants. I don't want to go through it right now because I'm not the one that has debunked and demonstrated how certain buildings were built, but I could provide that information if anyone wants to email me. And I just think that those incorrect pieces of information really discredit the really cool stuff that I really wish that we could figure out. It's the same thing as the whole Anunnaki alien thing. I don't agree with that. I don't think that aliens mixed in DNA with a species here in order to get a slave race to mine resources. It sounds good. And I understand that I'm like open to the possibility. It's just not something that I believe. There are multiple theories out there that I just personally don't accept. And there are many questions that I want answers to. So if anyone wanted to hear more about that, I don't want to talk crap about Hibbler and Stu Peters, but I just don't care for those content creators. I think there are a lot more people out there doing better work. And so, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And I'm totally open to being wrong as usual.
I've never heard of those two people.
Please take
go ahead.
Rose's,
Go ahead.
Please take Rose's topic. That's such a better fucking conversation than having a fucking bash on you druggies.
Well, I was gonna say, Rose,
thank you for that.
Where are you starting from?
Well, okay. Before you continue, Calix, I just want to say that even if I agree or disagree with Rose, I always want to give her the opportunity to speak her mind. And it was not my intention to kind of call you out on it, but like I did want to hear your perspective on the matter, of course. And like we have to try to figure out what the quote unquote truth is. And it's a big production. I mean, let's face it. I mean, there are a lot of people involved in this old world order, I think it's the name of the video. And there like lots of money was involved with that as well. A lot of interviews. It definitely was a professional production. So I think it's good to talk about it and just see where we agree or disagree. So yeah.
I kind of agree with a lot of what Rose says about, like, you know, with the not being able to build things and stuff. I think we kind of do ourselves short. I think we were a lot more innovative and problem solving 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, than we are now. We've been kind of herded into this mentality where we don't really think for ourselves, and we're not very, you know, the average Joe isn't very good at problem solving stuff, you know, because we don't have to do it, because we've got all this machinery that's been supplied. I think the Industrial Revolution was a bit of a psyop. It kind of dumbed us down a bit.
Mm-hmm. The Iron Age. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Nachiketa, there are so many videos that have been done that show pictures, and it's so amazing to see just how innovative that humans were and what they could accomplish, especially with STEAM technology. One of my problems is that there's this repetitive parroted meme going around, horse and buggies, when that's a red herring, because there are so many other ways that people built things like STEAM technology, and people won't even listen to me when I try to explain to them the ways that things were built. For example, there are some locations with incredible architecture where they built canals, and so they had the water flowing to the place with little boats carrying the materials, and then from the canal they built little temporary railroad tracks. And I have pictures of all this stuff, and people say, oh, you can't do this today, but when you have lots of money, there are houses that I went to that I like saw them as they were being built, and then my friends would move into them, and I would go into the houses, and it would look like really, really old classical Greek sculptures. And so these are and also there's the whole idea of, if the agenda here that's been being perpetuated by TikTok algorithms is the idea that if we can just say that everything is fake and that we weren't responsible for things, then it's kind of like, gosh, I'm not really good at explaining how I feel about like this Chinese infiltration, but it would just make sense to me that a Chinese corporation like TikTok would want people in the West to completely forget what their ancestors were capable of and attribute it to this global Tartarian civilization as well. Like I said, I'm not saying that the history that we've been given is correct. On Crow 777 Radio, we've been covering false history and the flamenco stuff and everything for years. But it's just that recently, these little things coming out, like the World Fair, and I feel partially responsible. I feel so bad because we did episode 273 with Howdy McCoskey. I brought Howdy onto the scene because I had an emotional experience with Howdy where I felt close to him and I wanted to give him a platform, because both of us bonded over the fact that even though we are different ages and come from different walks of life and different countries, we both had a spiritual experience watching this fucking Nova show in 1997 when I was 13 and I don't know how old he was. But after we both saw this Nova show where it was talking about how the pyramids lined up with Orion's belt and that there's like a pyramid on Mars and like all these things that we don't believe or agree with or think is impressive now, but for some reason that episode of Nova in 1997 that we both saw like changed our lives, and he stopped being suicidal and I realized that things weren't what they seemed and I wanted to start becoming a truther. And so then he came onto the show and he started talking about the World's Fair and all these cool things about, oh, these things weren't built, it was just to cover up world history. And then this big video went around, this 5-hour long video called The Lost History of Flat Earth got everybody so interested in Tartaria. That was the starting off point where Ewar, or at the time he went by Ewaranon, he put together this flat earth video called The Lost History of Flat Earth, where he talked about all this Tartaria shit. And then after it went viral and after people kept sharing it around millions of different places, he realized that he made so many mistakes and found out the ways that they did the things that they thought they couldn't do. But ever since he pivoted, then people religiously were like, oh, he's controlled opposition. Oh, he's an actor. Oh, this is a fake Ewar. This isn't the real guy. And so it's this religious thing that I'm seeing with people where they can't accept that someone made a mistake. And when I try to show them the videos that refute what was put forth in the lost history of flat Earth, nobody even wants to see it. They don't want to see the alternative point of view.
Okay, wait.
Can I jump in
Sorry,
here?
yes, go ahead, old Joe. My bad.
So fascinating discussion, and thank you very much, Rose. I wasn't going to jump up on panel, but I'd like to contribute something if I could. So one of the things I taught myself to do, just sort of as a grounding experience, one day I went and turned on the thermostat in my house, and I decided that the heat came pretty easy. So I made it my mission to generate heat by myself without any of modern conveniences. That means just rubbing two sticks together. And I can tell you that whoever did that, whoever invented that technique, however many thousands of years ago it was, must have been a genius. They must have been able to think in the abstract. They must have been able to do things that we would take for granted today. So I'm with Rose. I think the power of the human intellect and the ability to achieve things in times of need, we underestimate.
Innovation. The innovation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's easy for us, much like we do sometimes with religion. If there's something that we don't understand, we'll throw aliens or gods or whatever the case may be in. But there are oftentimes explanations for these things that make perfect sense if you put them in context. And if you actually learn, I'll finish by saying this one thing. One of the Native American fellows that I knew once, he said that the way they could tell a spiritual phony, somebody who was saying things that spiritually didn't make sense, is if that person hadn't mastered the physical skills that were required. In other words, if they couldn't make fire, if they couldn't make a fish hook, these kind of things. So I think there are often understandable, explainable, logical explanations for these phenomenon that we can't understand. And just because we can't understand them doesn't mean it was aliens or God or anything else like that. And I hope that our desire for real knowledge doesn't go away because easy explanations are simpler and more convenient. Thank you very much, eh?
Yeah. I just wanted to say something. Can confusion create knowledge?
I think that's. Could I rephrase that? I think
yes,
you're
please.
right.
Yeah.
I think that's a fabulous way to put it. I had never thought about it, but I think that need creates innovation. And if you are confused about something and you genuinely need a solution, you will have to develop a solution that works in objective reality. Flo and I have discussed this before around my spiritual beliefs. So whatever technique that you come up with, if you need to solve a problem, is going to have to work. In today's day and age, we can sit back on our couch and have conspiracy theories, and I can go to McDonald's and provide myself with some food, and it insulates my ideas from reality, and it also is a breeding ground for thought that may not be that robust, if you know what I'm saying. And that scares me about our society today. When I have legitimate conversations with people around flat Earth or donut Earth, or very intelligent people that claim that the Earth is 6,000 years old and stuff like that, then I become worried about where we're going as a society.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say something. I was just going to say we can only go so far back, and who knows how much we trust us going so far back. But I think that's where Raphael comes in. Or at some point, I mean, I'll still give my 2 cents on it. What were you talking about?
What do you mean? What are we talking about?
Oh, about where we're at.
All right, let's watch this video that Rose wants to share with us. Go ahead.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so this is just an example of some visual examples of. This is stuff that I just know. I thought it was shorter, but it's 30 minutes. But I put it on 1.5, and you could just stop it whenever you want. Okay, I don't know how long you want to watch this.
Probably not for 30 minutes, but let's watch a little bit of it.
People remember this whole idea that they've lied to us about the history and stuff started with New Earth. Is it Sylvie from New Earth who was talking about the history of the Romans? That's where this whole before Tartaria ever became a thing. We were talking about the survivors of Atlantis and how the story of Rome was a complete fabrication. They were lying about.
Well, Sylvia Ivanova gets most of her information from flamenco.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's it. She doesn't at flamenco.
Well, right off the face of it, though, 007, the story of Rome can't possibly be literally accurate because it starts off with like a wolf breastfeeding two brothers.
Yeah, Romulus and
Remus and Romulus. So like it's mixed with like it's like whatever happened in supposed Greece, like just morphed from myth into supposed history. And I remember, I don't know if this is Mandela or whatever, but I remember when Troy was all mythical, and then like they found Troy, and now if you ask Wikipedia if Troy's real, they're like it's both mythical and real. It's like, okay, which one is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I always get paranoid that like intro music is taking too long and people are losing interest, but I put it forward 30 seconds and I think they already started talking, so I don't know if that was bad or not, but
or people that are
go
putting
ahead,
out
let's play
content
this
with
video.
a similar message. It's a horse and cart, what? Just with horse and cart. And the horse and cart argument is just a massive straw man of construction history, especially in the 19th century. And the one thing I love doing is finding new archives. And I found one, and it's like a British railway archive. And it's crazy because they've got all these different archives, all these photo collections, and some of them run from 19th century to the early 20th century. And this crew collection, there's about 2,500 photographs in here. And this Derby one, there's 21,000. So I don't think you can access them all online, but there's a hefty amount. But I think, you'd have to go in person to see most of them. But I did pick out a few of my highlights. I had a quick look, so let me see if I can.
That's what always blows my mind with the horse and buggy narrative is it's not even in line with what the mainstream narrative is actually explaining. So you really are just proving that you're making your own stuff up. You're making your own history by saying horse and buggy. So what you would be saying is all these photos are fake because they're showing fake technology that wasn't actually there. Steam engines weren't there. Rail technology wasn't there. It's just horse and buggy in your narrative. So you now have to double down even more. And anytime you see these photos, you have to say all this technology that's being shown in the photos is fake because all they had was horse and buggy and hammer and chisel.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And it's the same with the empty photographs or the construction photographs. They say, it's just a few people standing around. But this archive shows otherwise, so you do see people, laying bricks, doing all kinds of things. And you also see that exposure, the sensitivity to people moving and then blurring. But some of these photos are great because it actually opened my eyes to a few things. So that's another argument is that, when we do see construction photos, it's just a couple guys standing around. And these guys are because they know there's a camera here. But you can see the sensitivity of the cameras at the time. When people move, it blurs. And they are doing something. They've got their bricks and stuff, and they're all filthy. You can tell they're hardworking guys. Look at these guys. But yeah, and they're moving around and they're doing stuff. But these photographs, these are just some highlights from that archive I found. And they're really interesting because this right here is a really interesting one because it's a 19th century, I think it's 1860, 65, something like that. But this is a portable brick machine. So again, it's not just horse and cart. It's not everything's handmade. And this is only a portable one. So this isn't for like mass production. You can see here they're doing that. And what's even more interesting, that's a child right there. It's a young boy helping out. And again, what you're seeing here is wagons pulling bricks, crane mechanisms. This all works, this stuff, But they get better anyway. So this one is fantastic because this is them building St. Pancras. And this is the cellars because St. Pancras actually doubled up as a brewery for beer. And they're building all these cellars. And you can see the wood here. That's what you call a center. So actually any masonry, any construction is nothing without carpentry. And they've got all these centers up and they line the bricks up on top. And that's how it's done. You can see the center here in the corner. And again, you can see the crane. This is a steam powered crane. So this is completely possible. This is not a fake photograph. There is no way. And I don't know whether this is actually whether the ground level's been raised now. I'd have to look into that. But this is the sort of thing that's underneath our feet. And again, there's your horse here. So one horse is pulling all this gravel, all this dirt. And look at the earthworks around it. I mean, these guys are moving loads of stuff. And this is fantastic as well, because you were talking about the temporary tracks. So it wasn't just horse and cart pulling things in. They built these temporary tracks. This is what people don't understand is that they say, what about all the shots with the mud where they're digging up the railways? They're not. They're temporary tracks. They lay them down, and this is a portable steam crane that's been shuffled in. You can see all the bricks here.
I've never seen a photo like that. That is amazing. And even just the background, what you can see they're building there that's fading from the light. That's a really beautiful photograph.
Really nice, isn't it? Really good, that one. this is fantastic as well, because this is actually a winding engine. Now, again, you've got your temporary tracks. So guys are not digging out railway tracks from the mud. These are temporary tracks with a cart that's attached to this winding engine. And this is a steam station. You can see the steam coming out here, and it powers this cable and drags all this dirt in, all these big rocks. So again, it's not just horse and cart. And I know they're posing and whatnot, but again, he's blurred because he's moved. There's another child. These people are young, some of these people. And that's another winding engine. Again, I mean, look at these mechanisms. It's all wood, a lot of it. And again, temporary tracks, brick loads in this cart here. And yeah, they must just, this mechanism, it just pulls all this stuff in. So again, it's not the horse and cart just bringing it in. And these are fantastic as well. This is crazy. Yeah, this is crazy because this is them doing the railways when they did it. And, people say, oh, mud flood, mud flood, mud flood. We are under the ground here. And this, again, these are the tunnels that they're building. And again, this is a center that they use. It's wood. You've got the chains there, keeping it in place as they pile the bricks up and let the mortar set. I mean, this is deep. Again, you can't say these are fake. You'd have to debunk everyone.
No, I think what people would say is they would look at
can you pause it?
How aged it is. Look, it's so old. But I've seen modern day
All right, let's talk about this a little bit. Let me ask you, Rose. So, have you had the chance to watch that video or not? Or is your first reaction to Hibbler production? And I mean, because Stu Peters is kind of a controversial figure, especially during the COVID times, right? And he talks about venomous material in that
He's a
thing.
red flag to me. He's an Alex Jones. He's been on Alex Jones, man. Stu Peters is connected to Alex Jones. So for me, Stu Peters, straight out of my, he's out of my thing. If he's in it, I'm not interested. Bit disappointed that Hibbler went.
Yeah, and what about Hibbler? Because Hibbler is kind of a part. Isn't he a member of the Flat Earth panel group or whatever that organization is called?
The first time I came across Hibbler was back in 2016, 17, and he was Hibbler Productions was linked with I can't remember what his bloody name is, but he's died. He died in the last 4 years. He died. And if I could remember his name, if I could say his name, everybody would be like, "Oh shit, yeah." That's right on the tip.
Are you talking about that Mike guy, the Mad Mike?
No.
Many guys died.
He was right.
Where is he from? Canada?
No, America. He was this old guy, and he had long hair and a big beard. He'd been living in his house for a long time. He had a really old, 1911 or something, print of the King James Bible, and he went. I mean, I actually thought that he was Hibbler. At first, I can't remember what his blood name was. Anyway, my issue with Iwa, right, was when Iwa first came out, there was something, right, that was just grating me. It was pissing me off. It was grating me. And it was his voice, right? Because when Iwa first came on, he was putting on this voice, and it was so fucking obvious to me, yeah. And it was just gave it this whole falseness, and I thought, nah, bollocks. And then this all happened, and he made this video, and I heard his real voice, and I was like, dude, if you had just gone with your real voice from the beginning, I might be actually on board with you, because I appreciate the fact that he did this. I really appreciate the fact that he straight away, as soon as he was proven, there was something there was evidence that came out that disproves the thing that he was saying, he fessed up to it straight away. But the fact that he was putting on an act with his first videos, and then when he came out and said, "Oh, look, I'm going to come clean with everybody, right? I've even been putting on the voice and everything." And I was like, yeah, I fucking knew it. I knew you were. Why weren't you just yourself? Why need to put on this character and this whole fucking act to do it? We're all about truth here, aren't we? Truth and transparency and just being fucking real.
Yeah, okay. So let me ask Rose. Rose, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Hold on just a
Yeah,
second.
so
Jason just walked in. Hey, Jason, hold on. I'm on with Nachiketa, and he's asking me questions about the Hibbler Old World Order, and I'm being on. See, Jason's making a gesture. I'm being honest about my opinion, but Nachiketa, I don't want to be mean about anybody or put down anyone else's work. I didn't even watch his video, so I'm not qualified to talk smack about the video. It's just based on a previous perception and just not being a fan, and I don't want to hurt myself by looking at something that upsets me. So I'm just, if you want me to watch it, I will, but I feel like I already know what I'm going to see.
No. I certainly don't want you to watch anything that you feel uncomfortable watching. And, obviously I did share that with you, but I share
Watch
other
it.
stupid things.
Hold on just a second. I have to I'll be right back.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I just wanted to throw my opinion in there. That
I ain't gonna watch it.
You can go to.
I don't. What?
Okay,
what,
I'll share it with you. Let me go find it and share it in the chat, and then people can go and watch it if they want. But it is called Old World Order, I think, and it's done between Stu Peters. Flo, do you know who Stu Peters is?
Yeah.
Hold on, wait, guys. Jason just started telling me something, and I was like, stop right now and come tell these people. And the context is that David Weiss just went onto InfoWars and just had his interview with Alex Jones. But instead of talking about Flat Earth, he started talking about Old World Order, which was so annoying to me. I don't know why he took the time to promote this stupid movie, in my opinion. Jason, tell them what you just told me.
So last night, apparently, I just found this out from a friend of mine sending me the link. But federal agents showed up to lock Alex Jones out of the InfoWars studios and start taking the stuff and selling it off. And he's there right now. He's on the air. He's usually not there on Saturdays. And I guess he's got to sleep in the studio again tonight to stop this.
Sounds fake.
Because why are they taking his stuff?
Because he owes $1 gazillion because
of the lawsuit.
Yeah, that's it. I'm trying to get more details on it. He's talked to some other folks right now. But I'm curious to see what exactly they're saying is actually going on. But take that as you will. I know a lot of people think Alex is Mr. Schillmeister, but not everybody thinks that. So that's up to you to decide.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, good to hear from you. How's it going, man?
If a federal suit comes against you, the federal government is the one that's going to come in and take your shit and auction it off. It's kind of the same as basically not paying your bill to a local state government, right? Like the state will come in and take your house, take your possessions and sell it off. They're going to get their money.
Where are you going?
I wish they would.
I just think this thing has just gotten more intriguing, with the whole, Alex Jones thing. And David Weiss was on there, and he wasn't talking about Flat Earth on Alex Jones.
So
what I just heard?
I knew for weeks that David just did a tour in Austin, Texas. He went on Roseanne Barr, which is going to come out in a couple of weeks. He went on Alex Jones with Eddie Bravo, and they totally changed the conversation to this topic instead of Flat Earth. And then David also went on Zek, and then some guy named Luke Story. So 4 massive audiences, and the Alex Jones one was such a joke. And if you go to Twitter right now, you can see this funny video of Eddie, Alex, and David joking around and bashing a globe, and then Eddie going, "I was wrong, it's really a globe." And you can tell that David is so unamused because he just wants to get down to business and talk about Flat Earth, or so I thought. He is all in, 100% in on the Tartaria thing, particularly whatever was in this movie. So, I mean, maybe I should watch it and just take the pain. But if you understand that I'm looking at this stuff and I like these pictures and I believe these pictures, that pretty much explains why it's annoying that people are like, how could these buildings have been made for the World Fair? Stuff like that.
Me and Rox interviewed David Weiss twice. He's a yeah. He's a nice guy. He's
wants
a nice guy, but yeah.
Tell us how you really feel.
I don't trust
David wants to get his perception of what is correct out. So in his mind, he's getting the truth out. But I think that he should
I
just.
think he's a gatekeeper. I'll be honest. I think he's just a gatekeeper, just like Alex Jones is a gatekeeper, just like Stu Peters is a gatekeeper. They need to. They are out ahead of all of this, man. And Tartaria started to pick up, so they're getting out ahead of it. That's what
I like David as a friend, but there's nothing I can do to defend this perpetuation of what I personally feel is incorrect BS. So it puts me at spiritual, emotional conflict, but such is life. What can I do except just try to take every day step by step and do the best thing I can, which is just say my opinion, so that if I put out my opinion, then I'm opening myself up to being corrected, which is all I want, is to figure out what is correct.
No, I mean, like Rose, like we've known each other for like 4 or 5 years now. Like I value your opinion, and like even if I feel like you may be wrong about it, like I still like am curious to know how you think or feel about it, because like we all have blind spots, every one of us, so like having these opposing points of views is important. So like I think it's good to have you speak your mind, like really. So this is this could be, I mean, if you change my mind about it,
Slight
what's that?
question
Who's
here,
speaking?
Notch. Do you believe that people can create their own blind spots?
People can create, yeah, like isn't that what like cognitive dissonance is? I mean, like I guess you can, it's arguable like that people have created their own, or that's been created for them, but yeah, people have them.
So like, could it be the case that if you start questioning everything and then start concluding like that person over there lied, that person over there lied, that person over there lied, and start just like basically adding that up together, you end up coming to some conclusion, well, everybody lies. And now you basically created a whole bunch of blind spots for yourself.
Well, people lie. I mean, like that's kind of jumping to conclusions for me, because like people may not be intentionally lying, and then also people could be telling truth about different things. So again, it's up to the individual to put the pieces together as best they can.
Yeah, I
right?
think most people are like, certainly professionals, the medical industry, people working in various sciences, they are perpetuating lies without realizing that they're perpetuating them. It's not that they're deliberately lying to everybody. It's just there is an ignorance. And I'd see what you're saying, Josh. I mean, yeah, like one way or another, we seem to end up chucking the baby out with the bathwater. And that's why I like what Natch's approach, and it's kind of I sort of try myself, like we've got to listen to everybody's, even the batshit crazy ones, man. Like they're still everybody's perspective, and their own take on what's happening has value, because
okay, wait, Richie. So if I'm saying that this is bathwater, I just want to know if you guys think that I'm correctly identifying bathwater, and I just want someone to show me the baby. I want to see the baby that's being thrown out, because I don't want to throw out any babies. I want all of the babies to not stay in the bath.
That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, like, if we just suddenly start chucking labels on things and putting them into boxes and slapping labels on it, then we're going to end up missing crucial, information, things that might actually, because I agree with you, Rose, like they're definitely lying to us. But things have happened, and so what they've recorded in history, the things that have happened, but it's the details. They're lying about the details. What the reasons behind all of these things? Like they could say, oh, these are pictures of people building and constructing, but there might be pictures of people digging shit out. Like it all depends what slant they put on the, you know, what narrative they want it to fit to. And we've got too many people trying to put images to narratives. It's one of the things that annoyed me about the whole Tartaria thing, was that people started then going into all these photographs, and imaginations just went kind of wild, and everything was Tartaria. It's Tartaria, Tartarian. And, you know,
which now begs the question then, right? Like this concept of we have to take it all in. We have to listen to everybody. Why? Why do we have to?
I don't think everybody has the capacity to listen to everything and sift through it, because not everybody has the knowledge base, or, you know, to be able to discern. Most of us really don't.
I would still question
Joshua,
why the average person.
Joshua, are you a flat earther?
Do what?
Are you a flat earther? Are you
Fuck
a flat
no.
earther?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
So well, okay, that's fine. But like, so you don't question like NASA or what's been taught to you about, like, you know, what's going on in the world, right? Like in terms of
I don't.
Correct.
I spend probably like maybe, I don't know, 1 second a day thinking about how the government is trying to fuck me over, right? Like I just don't fucking care.
Okay. So like, does it mean just because you don't think about it doesn't mean it's true or not true? Obviously, you know, the answer to that question is yes.
We
and
can
no,
all
because
agree
it's
the
depending
government
on.
fly. Like that's by nature the functionality of a government. Hell, I'm a Fed. I work for the government. Like this is kind of like one of the things we do, right? It's the concept that people will add intention to it. Oh, well, it's because of this. It's because of that. I just toss it all in the garbage.
So,
Well, that's the thing. That skews your perspective of things, because that's the viewpoint that you have. Go ahead.
Don't need to. My first initial question is why would somebody spend so much fucking time in it? Don't you fuckers have something better to do?
But dude, just because your brain isn't able to encompass why this sort of thing would happen, you know, because you're not able to appreciate the reasons why something would happen, you're just
okay.
Out.
Let's examine that.
What the fuck does that mean? Like, don't you guys have something better to do? I mean, like that's based on like what people want to spend their time on. Some people like to watch football games. Some people want to watch baseball games and shit like that. So like when you say it like that, you mean like we're wasting our life digging into shit like this?
Here, let me break this down real simple, right? Let's hypothetically say we're going to have, I don't know, let's take Hitler, small mustache man, right? And let's sit around and pretend like we're going to comprehend intention of another man's mind, like what was in his head. Oh, I know the truth. Unless any of you fuckers have got a mind reading machine, right? We're not going to really come to much of a conclusion. Everybody's just going to speculate. Now we're all sitting around a table talking about speculation like gossiping little bitches.
Is that what's going on? Is that what you believe is going on? That we are gathered here together today to gossip around about things that we will never be able to know fully.
Yes,
is that correct?
This just makes me want to gossip harder.
Yeah.
Dad, stop topic policing. Get back to your desk, Fed.
So what do you like to talk about, Joshua? What do you like to talk about, and what are the topic of interest to you then?
Well, okay.
Since you're here to let us know that this is a waste of time for you. So, like, you tell us what is of interest to you.
Cranes on this image, just stop at any one of these cranes. Can you zoom in a little bit? Okay, forget the chain. Obviously, we know the simple concept of how much force like a chain can take to break. But think of the basic concept of how little force is needed off of a basic pulley system and how old it is. Now, for the rest of you fuckers that have ever, like, I don't know, tried to pull an engine out of
what exactly is your point?
Well,
because that crane wouldn't be able to.
Why are you gay?
That crane cannot lift a block that weighs 80 tons. That crane would not be able to lift a block that weighs 80 tons. So the big argument is that even if they did have technology, they had technology that like far exceeded our own, because there's a maximum weight that we can actually lift and move at the moment. It's I'm not sure what it
So
is.
if we're looking at like the concept of let's call it just a simple block and tackle, right? How much weight? Isn't there a formula that goes with a block and tackle of how much weight you can pull on a ramp, mate? Basically,
There's going to be a formula
what is your point?
I mean,
is what I want to know,
the
Joshua.
point is
So
none
even
of
if
this
there
is
is the
absolutely complicated. We look at a crane and say it's got the ability to efficiently lift straight up, except for if you go back, say, like, I don't know, the pyramids of Giza, right? How do they get these huge ass stones out there? Still a simple block and tackle system, and just use ramps to force them up. You don't need a huge amount of force then. You might going to have some friction problems, right? But those are like the nitty gritties. Maybe they used water on top of clay or
maybe
shit.
it was geopolymer, and maybe we thought of it in a completely wrong way, that they were using copper chisels to chisel out like perfectly square blocks that fit into each other. Maybe it was geopolymer. We don't know 100%, but that's what people do. People speculate about what is built and how it might have been done. That's all. And what is the likelihood? What do you need? It's like kind of reverse
Well, then
engineering.
where do we come up with all of these extra conspiracy theories?
What extra conspiracy theories? Be specific. What are you talking about?
I don't know. You tell me. I try not to like dabble too much in your into the bullshit.
Well, I mean, how do you know it's bullshit if you don't dabble into it?
I know it's bullshit because usually when I hear somebody come up with a very long-winded explanation for something that's really basic, that was the whole point of crude tools, was to be basic. All we did was improve efficiency over time.
Basically, like, if you can't wrap his head around it, we're making it up, or it's ridiculous, or it's
I mean, like, what is there to talk about, really? Because, like, you are coming from a perspective. You're a quote unquote a normie who thinks that we're a wobbly oblique sphere that's like wobbling around in space, and the sun and the moon are like, we're whirling around, and you probably believe in evolution as well. So, I mean, like, it's where do we want to go with this conversation, really? Like, do you want me to convince you of anything?
That's why I'm up here.
I don't think so. And you're not going to be convincing me of anything either. So, like,
no,
what are we going to do?
The vast majority of human population are dumbasses across the board.
You're showing
ironic that you say
that. Us that, dude. You're showing us that you're.
Yeah. And so what? So what's your point? Vast majority of people are dumb, and then you're smarter than they are, and you don't do drugs, and you go for the fat, and you don't think about this shit. This is all a waste of time. So why are you here? What do you want to teach us? What do you want to share with us that maybe it will rub off on us?
I'm here like some of the rest of us. I'm here for the entertainment.
Oh, okay. So we are the clowns for you. We amuse you, do we?
Yeah, some of you do. Really do, yes.
Well, I'm glad that we can be entertaining to you.
Dude,
who's the most entertaining?
See, right now I'm on Jack Talcott. I there's something about a retard and a hippie breeding together and producing this. I'm still trying to figure that out. That's fairly well entertaining right now.
What can I do to
retard and a
entertaining this?
What did you say, Rose? Go ahead.
How do I increase my level of entertainment to Jack Talcott's level? Do I have to become a hippie too?
More insanity?
I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure out how Talcott came about, right? So,
and how he
what is so entertaining
about
Jack Talcott to you, Josh?
Wait, Talcott doesn't have to leave his home. Doesn't he have to like go grocery shopping or something?
He didn't. He was supposed to be evicted like a month ago, and now he's just like, oh, the lease got extended. That he hasn't paid in a year.
What business is it of ours? If that's the case with him, then so be it. Like, so what? he's a loser compared to you, I guess, Joshua, and then we are not living up to your level of
Dude, we're
I
losers
don't
now.
know, like paying taxes
'Cause I'm a
and
loser,
being a
baby.
good little slave to the government. Is that the deal?
Well, you're all going to be slaves to a government, whether you like it or
We
not.
already are. We already are.
Okay,
We
so
already
then
are
why
slave to the
concern yourself
system
with
to
it?
a degree.
Right.
I ain't.
So better be a house slave, rather than work out in the field. So, start, fighting for positions that's going to be better for you.
I'm a slave to the rhythm, dude.
I'm a loser, baby.
So why don't you kill me? What's that? Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant show. I might cover that.
Flow
actually.
State, do you believe these pictures that I'm sharing are real and that they do explain how things were built at the time that the pictures are supposedly to have been taken, or is it all fake?
I have not been paying close attention to the pictures, so I can't speak on these specifically. I do think that broadly, there's both. I think the mud flood stuff, I don't buy into that. I don't buy into the pictures. I think that anytime a phenomenon just like comes out of nowhere and floods the scene, it's sus. But I do think,
No
like,
pun intended.
oh yeah, that no pun even recognized.
The only thing about that, dude, is I've been to Bath in the UK, and there's this part in Bath where if you go on the open top bus tour, you learn all about it, and you stop at this point when they say, right, and at this point here, you can see at the bottom the street level was the Roman level. And this was dated to about 2,000 years ago. And then the next level above that is from the 1700s. And then the next level above that is present day. And I'm like, hang on a second. How the fuck did I build?
I was about to I was about to keep talking.
But what I'm saying is, I've seen where streets are buried on top of, and it's like, how the fuck?
Jesus fucking Christ! That's like exactly where I was about to go. I was walking right there.
Nah.
So the pictures themselves, I tend to view suspiciously. There's really no way to trust pictures that you come across online, but I don't know how things get buried. Just are we supposed to believe that what dirt, if anything, erosion happens and things get uncovered over time? So I don't know how to describe or how to explain exactly what Richie was just describing, or some of the like. There's obviously the idea that the whole world with all the fantastic art and architecture, that all that stuff was made with chisels. Get the fuck out of here.
But this is what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to show people examples, and that it's a red herring that people say, oh, horse and buggy and chisels, is that there is amazing technology. And here are some examples. Like, look at this. I never thought of this. I never knew this was a thing. And just looking at this one image, I'm just so proud of the ingenuity of humanity and like the ways that they figured things out in different ways. We don't know about this now because we don't need it with our current technology. But I just think that there's lots of ways that things were built that people say we couldn't have built that, and that people are just weaker and they're not as strong anymore, and we've forgotten. And also I heard in a video, oh, this was back from before architecture schools existed. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's what Freemasonry is. That's what masonry is. It's ancient building ideas that are mixed with spiritual ideas.
I mean, according to the story, the Greeks were great architects as well, weren't they? So architecture's been around a long time.
They ever existed, that is, the Greeks and the Romans. But that's something for debate.
Yeah, it's all on the table for me. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to put everything on the table. I think it's good to talk about it. And I think we have a very wide spectrum here up on the panel, from extreme normie to extreme conspiracy theorist. And I'll put myself over on that other extreme just because I can be the most, wild in terms of ideas and stuff like this. And that's okay. I think it's good that everybody has their own faculty to think about things, and we all have our own rationale that makes sense to us, right?
I'm completely irrational.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of conspiracy theory thinkers though that don't put enough consideration into like the reverse psychology, right? Like how you can obfuscate the truth by adding more, I'm doing air quotes, truth to the quagmire.
Muddy the water.
Right, exactly. And so I think specifically, I think the mud flood phenomenon, while is a good blend of truth and AI images that muddies the water. And also, obviously, everybody here, I think by now knows that I want nothing to do with Mandela effect or its groupthink psyop, logo focused commercial.
Don't go there. Don't even mention it, Flow State.
Let's not even go there.
I said what I wanted to say.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, like, you know how we all feel about it, and I know how you feel about it, and that's why I don't really try to bring it up, especially when you're on the panel about it. But
I mean, appreciate that. I had to take a cheap shot.
No, it's not. It's not a cheap shot. It's like I just respect people's space, and people have the right to think and feel the way they do. It's just that, like, where do you want to go in terms of like being here, quote unquote, together? In terms of conversation, like where's the middle line that we're trying to figure out, between all of us? I mean, it's like
I'm not sure it is a middle line.
Incompulated that it's like, where is it? Go ahead.
I don't think there is a middle line. I think the tendency of a group is to swing from one extreme to another. And the best you can do is try to mediate that. And I think that's what you mean when you say a middle line. But I kind of have issue with mud flood people.
Yes, tell us.
Mainly because I feel like they made a decision based off of a picture they saw at some point, and then looked for verification of that thought process and found other people who had done the same thing.
I see. I disagree for the same reason as I gave to Flow State, because I've got, I remember in 1997 or whenever it was, going to Bath with my parents and these guys from America, my parents' friends from America. And so we went and did the tourist thing at Bath, and they were telling us about the 3 different street levels. I remember saying to my dad, how the fuck does that happen? Because, like, what, all the dust and dirt and rubbish and detritus all built up to the point where they said, well, we might as well just build on top of it. It was like, did nobody come out of their front door and say, oi, do you think we ought to fucking sweep some of this shit away on the street? It was just,
or tear down this building and replace it, right? Like we see that happen all the time. Buildings get demoed, they clear spot for new ones.
So a catastrophe makes more sense, but I don't think it was a worldwide thing. I believe in local mudslides and subsidence and what is it when the ground turns
that makes more sense than a biblical level mud flood never mentioned anywhere in history.
No, right? Not a biblical level one that went across the entire earth. No.
Hey, Double O, Flow State, how y'all doing?
Hey, dude.
What's happening?
Hey guys, can you hear me? This is Glenn from Boston.
All right, Glenn from Boston. How's it going?
I could have guessed just by the accent.
Hey, Richie, how you doing? Hey, it's great being on a panel here with Rose. I go way back, Rose, with Crow, back when he started doing his telescope work years ago. And it was funny listening to the federal guy there. He was on there saying, "Oh yeah, he believes in NASA and the globe Earth."
2013.
Exactly. I go way back with Crow.
We go way back. We do go way back with the people we watched. Don't we?
Yep. And I was going to say, tell that federal guy there, you believe in NASA. Crow's got 3 years of videos, no satellites, no moon stuff. How much evidence do you need, buddy?
Wait, who's talking? Because the screen is there's so many people up here that everybody's so small.
Can I take this off, Rose? Are we done with this video?
Of course, yeah. Take it off. Get it out of here.
Yeah. So
let's get it out of here.
I wanted to
I'm
talk
walking
to
Let's
Rose.
get it out of here.
I wanted to talk to Rose so bad because I actually was in some other chat rooms. Now, I don't want to get Nachiketa kicked or anything, but one of my favorite shows that Crow did in all these years was he talked about Hattie Bob, Hattie Boy. They erased the guy. Do you remember that, Rose? Were you there then?
Yeah, but it's funny because once we learned more about that, the less that we like that stuff, because he was talking about like weird, spider creatures on the moon.
Exactly.
So
The Ebrov, aka the Archons and Ebros. Yep. And
yeah, so they lost interest. So it's like it sounded really cool at first, but then once we got like a Russian person to actually translate it, it was like, oops, our bad.
They changed that guy's name a bunch of times, and they took all his paperwork down like they did Tesla. So I mean, and what's cool about his whole show on that was he talked about the epochs, which if you look at Jason Archaic, he talks about the 140 years resets, and it falls all into place. I mean, and then you guys were just talking about David Weiss on Alex Jones. Now, I know Alex Jones. I watched him for years. He's a gatekeeper, but you get some truths out of him. And David Weiss, he was.
Don't mention Archaics to Rose. I don't think she'll appreciate it too
much. Don't bring that name up.
Okay, Jason. Yeah. So I keep an open mind, listen to them all. But it's funny with David Weiss just did a big thing on the Summer Gate, and with the island, the island off in the South Pacific, and he's tracking all these ships way inland off of Antarctica. Now, do you believe in that?
That was just for Sasquatch. Don't worry about it. Here.
Did I just get sacked? You're not going to sack me, or you don't do that.
So what do you think about that with the David Weiss, and he's showing you that island? I got it right here. I've been researching that island actually.
I'm not familiar. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're referring to. Which island you're talking about?
Kiribati.
Kiribati. Let me look it up. How do I spell Kiribati? I bet it'll know what I'm trying to say if I do KIR.
Wait, I'll do it. I'll put a link. Oh, I can't put a link in.
I found it. Kiribati, a country in Oceania.
Hey, what's up? I'm back.
Go ahead.
Welcome back, friend.
Oceania or
is it poor form of me to ask about Archaics and Rose?
Wait, you can ask Rose how she really feels about it.
It's just I'm not a fan of him because he was involved in that aggravated sexual assault of a kidnapped young woman with a gun, and I just feel like I just don't like him, and I think that everything that he talks about is bullshit. But it's just my opinion, and anybody could be friends with him or watch his stuff. I'm not into it. I'm not interested. It's not my thing.
Can we put a note on it? Can we put a note? Because I wanted to mention something really quick about
go ahead.
Brain worms. So they're
What's
like,
that mean?
You have parasites.
Mm-hmm.
So how
No,
many?
are you talking about actual brain worms or the effect that social media has on people?
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one too. I'm talking about like physical parasites that are like
from Animorphs.
Yeah, like brain worms. Is there a certain species of like parasites, or do all parasites have their own personality type? Like, can there be like a species of a parasite, like like how we're humans, but then like we each have our own personalities? Is there like parasites?
Do worms have?
Where is this coming from?
I don't know,
Caleb,
man.
I don't know. I just thought I wanted to ask that question.
You're gonna do it like an archetype, different
let's
type personalities, or we just
so you want to stop everybody's conversation just to ask this question whether parasites have personalities like people do. Yeah?
I think that I'm probably the one on the panel who knows most about the personality type stuff, and I will say, in my research, I haven't known very many worms, but they were all quite boring. They did not have personalities, so I think that would be the answer. Is it's a fucking worm. It doesn't have a personality.
This is as close as I come to this, which is, if I have an overgrowth or of a parasite in my stomach or a tapeworm that is craving a certain kind of food. And so I'm like, oh, I really want to eat this. One could argue that it's not really me wanting the sugar and that I'm just giving like my salmon sushi to the parasites that are craving. They want to go on a date with new parasites, so I have to eat salmon sushi
Not
so that
me
they
that
can
wants
sex
the
with each
liquor.
other.
It's the parasites that want the liquor.
Brain worms, man.
I don't know. Just like
I don't think it's. I don't think it's personality though. It's more characteristics.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So one second. Like, who here does not know who Archaics is? Flo, do you know who? You must have heard of Archaics, right?
Yeah, I know who Archaics is. I just didn't know Rose's sentiment on him.
I only knew Archaics through Tartarian Truth.
The only way
there's that.
I'm aware of Archaics because I'm aware that Rose has an issue with Archaics, but I don't know either one of them, which is funny because I've heard that one before.
I keep an open mind and listen to all this show. I mean, he's got a lot of good information I listen to. I don't know his background or any of that, but like Crow, I listen to all Crow's videos and stuff. Everyone, I keep an open mind. David Weiss, Flat Earth, right? Tartaria. I mean, there's definitely a firmament over us. What's that?
You ever looked into any of the Vanilla Skies images?
What the fuck is that?
I'm ex-military, and I'm back at the end of the Vietnam War, and you guys wouldn't even believe the technology we had back then. You guys wouldn't even believe it, what we had back then.
Hey, Glenn.
Let's see. Back in 1978, and the F-4 Phantoms and F-14s, we were remote control landing aircraft on carriers way back then.
Glenn, is the military 10 years ahead of the public?
I'd say 50 years, not 10, 50.
So, like the whole AI generation photos we're seeing.
All right. That was exactly where I was fixing to go with it. So, if the military is 50 years ahead of the general populace, then we are dealing with an AI lag of about 30 years because I believe some of that crap's escaped.
Well, what's weird is like you're watching these guys launching, like NASA launching their ships, the Horizon, and they had William Shatner in the thing, right? We just hit Mach 3. Mach 3, that friggin' Mach 3. We were doing Mach 3 back in Vietnam, man, on our aircraft. We were doing, I remember 15 years ago, I was an aircraft mechanic on carriers. We were doing Mach 12. And how did we get to Mach 12? Well, in the old days, when the aircraft first came out, the F-14 Tomcats. Yeah, F-14 Tomcats, right? How'd they get the afterburners? They had fuel nozzles in the exhaust, sprayed raw fuel, and ignited it. That gave that boost for the F-14 taking off.
I swear to God, when I was 6 years old, I had a rally burner, and I could get to Mark 3 on that.
And so,
I love you, dude.
And so then the engineers, when I was back in the military, the engineers came up with, okay, when you hit supersonic speed, that they took the fuel and it was compressed at supersonic and burned it at the higher rate of speed that gave you the scramjets. That was Mach 12. So, I mean, the speeds are. Why do you think they got rid of the
scramjet? Utilizes a variable pressure injection at variable altitudes with variable ambient oxygen, and that allows you to burn not only extremely high volumes at an extremely high temperature under extremely high pressure, but also mitigate it to the point where it doesn't leave as much of a contrail, is quieter, and can operate more efficiently at various altitudes and various speeds.
Yep, exactly. And so that was a long time ago. Then they came out with, after that was all done, right? They came out with the TR-3B Astras. You know what those are?
Are we getting into the Aurora project?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. These guys, people are so stupid they don't even understand how
the Aurora project. Now, I can't tell you much about it as far as what it was actually supposed to accomplish, but one of it was a test bed, at least, like I don't know anything more, for a new propulsion system that utilized a series explosion chamber rather than an actual rocket thrust. Multiple detonations to achieve higher speeds than was previously achievable by aircraft. This involved basically like a scramjet with the variable pressure injections that were taking place at Afterburner. but more intense explosions rather than increasing the jet nozzle of the thrust, right?
Mhm.
So it'd be like a boom instead of a
Exactly.
so
So,
boom,
so
boom, 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 and
they were
the
using those in
contrail would
the
leave
Gulf War.
a pearls on a string appearance in the sky. What contrails there were would appear to be little donuts on a string.
That's what I saw when they went through the sound barrier at the you know the air show that I watched back in the 80s, and they went through the sound barrier, and it was a. I didn't see multiple. There was just one. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They cost so much money to build
Theoretically,
these. Yeah.
Can I share something I saw? I have a video of like some chemtrails. I mean, you don't have to. I just wanted to show.
Theoretically, the Aurora project would have achieved Mach 3 before it started laying down the pearls on a string. So
Exactly. Yep.
the speeds achievable, I can't even predict. I wouldn't even guess.
Well,
I don't think pearls on a string is the accurate I think it's technically called anal
It
beads.
looks here. Yeah. I'll show you something. Give me a second though.
I knew you were going to say something about anal beads.
Or at least pearl necklace. You got to give me something to work with here.
Pearl necklace.
Pearls on a string, is that like a pearl necklace? Yeah.
So those that aircraft that shipped the TR-3, the Astra projects, that was back in the Gulf War in 1990.
Can I share something?
You can try. Nachiketa might be there.
Nach, can I share this clip?
As far as space,
yeah, I'm here.
Put it backstage.
Where's the video that you want to share?
Yeah, here. Let me see.
I would drop the link in private chat and let him look at it without.
I think they far
no, we're just how we're talking about chemtrails. I have this this really clear a video of the chemtrails, just so I can like show.
Yeah,
it's geoengineering or climate engineering. It's not
but we know that chemtrails exist.
No. That's just silly slang. That's
algorithmically, it might be better to call it anything else.
It's climate control, climate engineering.
Look at those weird rings and strings.
They're actually going back. One of my things I like to do is watch old movies. So your first movies, I try to catch things in the background of these guys. And my whole tour in the military, there was never any trails coming out of any planes.
They've actually started. They've started putting it into movies. I've watched movies where they
I was just going to say that they were implanting them into movies like they were always there. Yep.
That's not a cloud.
And now the whatever they're spraying there, whether it's barium, strontium, aluminum, all this shit they're spraying, they now got a technology that they're putting it into the jet fuel on major aircraft, so they don't have to spray special planes. Yep.
The thing about speed.
Sorry.
I was just going to say the thing about speed, right, and that how fast these planes can go, these aircraft can go. I think that they're much more advanced than people realize as far as autopilot, UAV, unmanned air vehicles, and so they can go much faster in the unmanned ones because they don't have the limitations of the human body.
Of gravity, right.
Did I miss my chance to go in hard on the AI? As being a negative entity.
Mm-hmm.
I did. Okay, I'll try it next time then.
Yeah, but the technology will come back and bite them, like I said. So you get David Weiss showing you the Summer Gate tracking. They have a U.S. cargo ship tracking system that shows you every ship, their ID squawks, and so he's tracking ships thousands of miles inland through Antarctica to Summer Passage, up and elevated up 2.5 miles, up at 2.5 miles sea level. So he's on to something there. I'll tell you that. And they're dumping billions of dollars into that island, the Karabuti Island. China, us. What's all this money going to that island for? Right? Giant freighters going into middle of nowhere. Just
watching the airplane, like the air traffic and the sea traffic, the commerce on the oceans, doing that in 2020 and 2021 was pretty exposing. Like that, you were supposed to be a lockdown everywhere, and you could like the amount of stuff in the air and on the sea, and the amount of military flying around over cities, and flying around over London, all over America, and the amount of ops that were military ops that must have obviously been going on. Military aircraft where their ID would then just suddenly disappear, and they'd just disappear off the map, and then they'd appear like somewhere else, and really, really weird shit going on when you watch the like you say, like he's watching the ships.
Are you familiar with the concept of a targeted individual?
Sorry?
When I say that, do you know what I mean when I say targeted individual?
Dude, I've it's been said that I'm targeted, or I've been targeted.
I'll buy that. Targeted individuals are people who you often find on YouTube who seem to be schizophrenic because they believe blue cars are following them, or trash trucks, or
people are breaking into their cars, turning them upside down, and then locking them back up again, and stealing the receipts for their mobile phone out of the back seat, and then getting the phone turned off 2 weeks later. And yeah.
So are we disagreeing or agreeing with that?
I'm saying I'm targeted.
The reason I'm asking is this: when the targeted individual fiasco started coming into light, when YouTube started getting real big, people went around and started trying to figure out how many of these people there were out there. This occurred not long after the Patriot Act went into effect, and we started being able to get some of the classified documents that had been previously classified. One of the things we discovered was on a particular year, and I believe it was like 2007, there were 1,100 and some change targeted self-identified targeted individuals who believed people were following them in the U.S. There were 9,000 CIA and NSA ops being launched for training purposes on U.S. citizens at the same time. I think a lot of these people merely noticed the training ops of the various agents.
Wow.
And they were like, I swear to God, somebody's following me, man. Nobody believed them because they sound crazy. But I think that was part of the training, was to figure out how much of this type of stuff someone could tolerate before they started screaming to the skies, and whether or not people would believe them when they did. Isn't it not a perfect smokescreen for running ops on American citizens? These people are just crazy.
Yeah,
it works, right? So I always thought that was an interesting correlation between how many ops were currently being run as training ops inside the continental U.S. versus how many people claim to be targeted individuals.
Yep.
But this implies that our special services are not so special. They're all getting busted.
Right.
Hey, Caucasian, do you think they're going back in, like me and Richie think, that they're going back in the old movies and adding chemtrails and shit like that to them?
At this point, they can write an AI program that will take whatever old movies are currently available for streaming and just plot them in wherever a plane happens to be. I wouldn't be surprised if you found one of the old 1920 silent era films.
Yep.
If you were to look up, see a contrail behind a Wright brothers plane, like, it would surprise me a bit.
Like Mandela.
Yeah.
Mandela effect.
Stop it, Flo. Don't trigger. Calm down. Just breathe, brother. You'll be all right.
We're going to be talking about the Mandela effect up here today.
Yeah, not that.
Calm
down. The fuck's going on?
Rose, do you believe any of that Summergate stuff that's David Weiss is talking about? Do you believe Summergate and the island in Karabachi, whatever it's pronounced?
I mean, I looked it up to see what island you were talking about, but like I said, I don't know what the theory is or what is being exposed about that location.
Okay, well, David Weiss is showing that there's these giant tankers that are bigger than any tankers you'd ever even know we could build, loaded with stuff heading thousands of miles inland and through Antarctica, through the Summer Gate. I mean, Antarctica is the most guarded, the 60th parallel. You can't go in there. just because there's penguins and ice, you're not allowed to go near that place. So that's what
So
he
they're
was showing.
bringing lots of supplies into like the McMurdo state.
They're either trading with other lands beyond where we're not allowed to go, bringing supplies in, trading, bringing stuff back, trading for technology, whatever they're doing. It's all hush hush. You're not allowed in.
That sounds like conjecture, and I think it's more likely that they're bringing supplies to the McMurdo station, where people are living 24/7 for months and months and months at a time.
Not those size tankers are not. No way.
Why not? Who cares if the tankers are big? Why is it weird if something's big?
The tankers are big.
There aren't many people staying at that. They say there aren't many people staying at that station.
There
so
isn't that many people. There's hundreds of people.
why would they need that supplies of that amount?
Okay, I totally get it. If it's weird that they're big, but why does something big? Why does not understanding why big they would use big tankers? Why does that lead to they're trading with other lands? I'm not denying the fact that hey, there could be tons of other lands that we don't know about. I just think that people should be careful about jumping from one premise to another conclusion, because an argument needs to have multiple strings of premises to lead to the conclusion instead of just taking one premises and just making an assumption. I think it's an assumption of trading with other lands.
Wherever there's secrecy or or ignorance certainly on our part, there's going to be speculation, isn't it? Like it's one of the things that we do. We speculate about stuff that
one of the many
seems to
things
be hidden from us,
Yeah. So Glenn, where did you get this information
I watched
about these
Weiss.
tankers?
I watched David Weiss's recent video before he did the Alex Jones show, and David Weiss, you could talk flat Earth all you want. You can beat everyone up, like even the women in my office, right? They know we haven't been to the moon, but if they think outside the box, they get anxiety. That's what they tell me.
Stanley Kubrick's greatest work.
Exactly. And so that was I can see how David Weiss, he's smart, he knows all about the flat Earth and stuff, but you're beating people. You can't talk people into believing where you are, on what realm or plane we live. Just that's old news.
It's trying to replace one model with another model.
Exactly. So he's finding out. Okay, he knows where we are. Now he's trying to figure out where is everybody going to.
Yeah, but my question is how does David Weiss know about these big ass tankers and the summer thing?
So he uses
just trust me, bro.
He uses this U.S. cargo ship apps online. You can download it yourself, and you can point to any cargo ship on. It's like a Google Earth, but for shipping, and you can point to any
like Monkey Works. Like Monkey Works.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you go to any ship you want. It tells you the captain, the destination, the size of the ship. So you go to that Caribou Island, and you'll see the sizes of the ships are gigantic. And then when you track them, they're going thousands of miles into Antarctica through the summer gate that's supposed to be solid ice. The waterways don't exist. Yep. And
crazy.
It's not just far the distance. It's elevations are 2.5 miles higher than sea level. So they're going uphill. It's like crazy stuff.
What?
They won't let us go there.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the video. I might have saved the.
Maybe they're submarines.
Yeah. If you can get onto that site and then show us where some of these tankers are going, that'll be awesome.
I'll show you. Yeah. Let me show you what I got.
Now, when it comes to the idea of there being lands that we don't know about, one thing that I think would make it make sense is it would explain why would these ruling elites be poisoning the very air that their own families are breathing? If there were other lands that weren't being poisoned, then that would explain it.
And Rose, and you want to hear the answer for that, because that's why I brought up the Ebra and the Archons, because that falls all the way back to your Hattie Boy story about the moon. What he had said was the moon puts out signals that reprograms our brains. That's how smart these guys are.
Okay, but that doesn't sound correct.
And when they spray our atmosphere,
thank you for saying that.
Signals. I'm saying they block the signals with the spraying they're doing. Is what the powers that be are trying to do. So people think chemtrails, it's poison. They're poisoning all of us. We're breathing that shit in. they're blocking the signals from the powers that be. That's what my theory is, at least. I mean, you can believe it or
My
not.
theory about them spraying it and them all breathing it as well, they're breathing the same air, is that they've got a lot of money and they do have access to medical technology that we don't have access to. So they could get their, they could get their blood cleaned, their livers and everything. They just go and get dialysis or something and get their blood cleaned once or twice a year. So there is no build up of these. Because it's all about the build up of these forever chemicals and stuff, isn't it? So if they can get their blood cleaned twice a year.
Haven't you seen Elysium, where the rich people live out in the outer space and they have these like little like med beds, and they be always 20 years old.
Yeah, they can cure everything. Like they just
and they have those. If you start researching the people always go to get what are those things where you go in the little tunnel with the noise? They trap
deprivation chamber.
No. They truck them around. Everyone has to get one. When you're sick, they put you in MRI. Machines. They have, if you research MRI machines, they have 5 levels of MRIs, and the top one's like Elysium. It tells you everything, but only the elites can use it because it's so expensive to build those that you can never see one. But they have 5 levels of MRI machines, and one of them's like that movie Elysium. Good catch, Nachiketa. But that's my theory with the chemtrails, that they're blocking that. Hattie Boy told us that they were blocking the signal, that they used the moon to put it down. He gave you a list of all the octaves they use, the frequencies they use. It was a great show. And then I know Crow got hit hard when he put that out on YouTube, when he ran that.
Well, it's good that he got hit hard because it turns out that it's kind of BS and that it's not correct.
When you get hit hard, you're hitting the truth.
That's not always the case. That's another problem I see in the truth community. It doesn't always mean that something is true because it's being attacked. Sometimes things are righteously attacked because they're wrong.
I was wrong once, but I got over it.
Yeah.
I like the Hattie Bob stuff though too, Glenn. So I guess we'll be wrong together.
And they got the Yale, the spiders with the Yale, all these colleges got their little hidden things with the Freemasons and the spiders. They have that narrative. It goes with what the Ebrob, which is AKA Ebrob, is the spider race, AKA Arcanons, all with the same beings. Yep. I mean, that's all these years of following.
Then we're going
pills,
into gematria.
Yeah, exactly. And then all these years of following all these red pills and this, and I like to find out, where are we going? What do we really? What's the real truth we haven't been told? Will we ever find it? I don't know.
See, Flo, I told you I'm a normie.
I know you're normie.
Totally normie. I'm the most normal.
I never said normal. No. Don't take that much first.
I had a question.
You need to totally stop looking into the outside for the answers.
I'm actually relatively
What's your
normie,
question?
Compared to this panel. I think
You find the answers around the inside, man.
Wait, I got the.
What's your question, Caleb?
Clip for you guys. Wait a minute, I found it. I got the thing I want to show you.
Okay, let's do it.
Cool, yeah.
Let's do it.
Do it.
I'll be fine.
Here we go. Watch this. This is what Dave Weiss. That's why he switches Alex Jones interview for this. Watch this. Okay, StreamYard. I got to present right here. Share screen.
Just don't go a file of big glitter, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate glitter. Glitter is arts and crafts of AIDS.
Go into the amount of glitter made and the amount of glitter sold, and then ask yourself who on earth is using that much glitter.
Don't you just love it?
I'm only gonna play a little bit of this so you guys can see where I'm coming from. Okay.
All right. Let's watch this.
Says, and we live in this enclosed system. Maybe the system's much bigger. Maybe there's more land beyond Antarctica. Okay. Maybe there's more land beyond. Let me go back here, and I'll go to the images. And what if the world is set up like this, where we live here? This is us. This ring is Antarctica. It's 1,000 miles wide, maybe, right? Our sun and moon circle around in here. okay? America, South America, right? Australia. And out here is Antarctica, but it's not really, it's open because there's another shoreline beyond it. And there's other land out here, okay? That land would be called extra territory, extra terra. If somebody lived on that extra terra in the outer area, they might be considered an extraterrestrial from outer space, just a couple thousand miles away versus incomprehensible, impossible light years and trillions of miles away in a scientifically impossible space vacuum that has burning balls of gas adjacent to a vacuum.
I feel like
with
this guy's
planets,
wearing a
rocks
big Nicholson
that have
mask.
gravity, that hold air down to them. All of that is absolute insanity, right? But this is scientifically possible. I'm not saying this is the case. It could be. It could be, right?
Well, wasn't there Japanese cultures that talked about a map similar to that?
Well, this is this map right here, and this is what I want to get into. You're gonna like that. You're gonna like where we're going next on this. Okay. And off. So where am I? Antarctica. So that map that I just showed you was the Globers will say that's from a cartoon, right? Of course they're going to say that, right? I think it's a real map. It was found in a Buddhist temple. It's 10 centuries old. It was printed in a Hawaiian newspaper in 1910, and it's kind of interesting. So this is what I want to show you. You guys probably haven't seen it, but everyone, a lot of people have seen it. I got a couple new slides in here, so people that have seen this already, chill. So this is a cargo ship tracking thing, and here's Antarctica. And you can go to these websites and you click on any one of these ships. It'll tell you where it's going, how big it is, the captain's name, when it's left, when it's arriving, all the information you need. And you can track these just like you can track airplanes. But we found a ship here. Okay, this ship is 730 miles from the nearest outlet. Okay, how did it get there? Okay. And it's also 1.9 miles above sea level. So now if there was an inlet, how did it get 1.9 miles above sea level?
You got canals in Antarctica, man.
How did it get there? Right? Not bad enough. Found another one. Right? This is zoomed out, so it looks closer, but it's not. 905 miles.
Do we know what that is? What ship that is?
I'm going to show you. 2.37 miles above sea level. Another ship. When we click on these ships, there's very little information, but we clicked on one of them, and it said it was registered to so this was the map we were talking about a moment ago, okay? And it was that one was registered to the nation of Kiribati. Where is Kiribati? Look out here in the middle of the South Pacific. You can't even see it, right? I have a pin on it, right? We zoom in, and it's literally a sandbar, okay?